Boom. Even in a daze, Chi-Ya was still able to receive Phaeton's attack in time. The palms, umbrellas and swords collided, and a shock swept away. The earth seemed to be trembling and shaking. Concentrated mind energy, Chi-Ya clenched his fist with his right hand, and slammed heavily at Phaeton. Phaeton immediately withdrew a hand, wrapping his mind to block Chi-Ya's attack. However, at the moment of blocking, the sharp pain in his arm made Phaeton understand that what Uvajan said before was true and not false. Chi-Ya has indeed cultivated Enhancer 100%, and has reached the point where he can confront Uvajan. Otherwise, it is impossible to severely injure one's arm. The small fist hit Phaeton's resisting arm. With the strong attack of the Enhancer and the powerful destructive power of the thunder, Phaeton's arm twisted at a speed visible to the naked eye. The next moment, Phaeton's body shot out like a bullet, smashing countless big trees in half along the way, and finally splashed on the ground, rolling more than 10 times before stopping. Taking advantage of your illness and killing you, after flying Phaeton away, Chi-Ya flashed his figure and directly used his space ability to teleport over there. Chi-Ya's space ability is a bit weird. There is no limit to the space imprint falling on dead objects, but there is a strong restriction on living creatures. That is, the target must be injured, and only in this way can the mark be left. This is also a limitation. This is the spatial ability of Chi-Ya at the current stage. Maybe continue to practice. Chi-Ya has the opportunity to lift this restriction. And just now, when Chi-Ya scratched Phaeton's collarbone with his fingers, Chi-Ya took the opportunity to imprint a space imprint on Phaeton's body. However, at that time, everyone in the brigade was together, so Chi-Ya had no chance to use this trick at all. Because, even if Chi-Ya uses the Space Nen to transfer to Phaeton's side, he will be found instantly. Not only can't kill with one hit, but also let yourself fall into the encirclement. But now, the rest of the brigade stayed away because they were afraid of being affected by Phaeton's tricks. This became a good opportunity for Chi-Ya. The members of the brigade were so far away, even if they found out, it would be too late to come over. Chi-Ya is able to end a fight in an instant. Now that they are completely matched, Chi-Ya will not have any scruples. However, Chi-Ya still took it for granted. The reason why the attack on Brigade No. 8 was successful before was because Brigade No. 8 was wary of Chi-Ya, but in the end, because of Chi-Ya's appearance, he had contempt for Chi-Ya that he didn't know about. Tendency. However, Phaeton is no Brigade 8. Phaeton's vigilance is number 1 in Phantom Troop. In addition, he knew Chi-Ya's strength for a long time, so he didn't underestimate Chi-Ya at all. The moment Chi-Ya appeared by his side, Phaeton, who had just got up from the ground, rolled on a donkey regardless of face, and evacuated from the spot as quickly as possible. Boom. The immature little hand fell on the ground trembled for a while, and then it split open. Gravel rose into the sky like a fountain. A powerful impact swept away instantly, and the entire battlefield was filled with gunpowder smoke. Swish. Having just escaped a catastrophe, Phaeton stood up from the ground unsteadily and was almost thrown away by the impact. However, his strong physique allowed him to stand firm and quickly counterattacked. Hard. With a low murmur, most of Phaeton's thoughts gathered in the umbrella sword. With a flash of his body, he rushed into the gunpowder in an instant, appeared in front of Chi-Ya, and stabbed fiercely at Chi-Ya. Clang. When the swords and fingers collided, there was a crisp sound of swords colliding. Chi-Ya's Nen skills have reached a very high level. The Enhancer's Nen Chi covered her hands, directly turning Chi-Ya's hands into steel and iron bones, invulnerable to swords and guns, hard to resist Phaeton's sharp umbrella sword blessed by Nen Chi without any harm. The next moment, both sides started a stormy attack, and the sound of gold and iron clashing resounded. This time, Phaeton's attack on Chi-Ya had the bottom line, and he was not blown away by Chi-Ya's punch as before. Fighting with Chi-Ya was impressive, but he was still suppressed at a disadvantage. No matter in terms of speed or the power of Nian Chi, Phaeton can't compare with Chi-Ya. Only the combat experience is stronger than Chi-Ya, but it is also limited and cannot make up for it too much. In the stormy battle, wounds and blood sprayed continuously on Phaeton's body. After a few rounds, Phaeton turned into a bloodman, with blood all over his body. However, just like this, Phaeton didn't show any irritation at all, instead he had a weird smile on his face. This way of fighting regardless of oneself, it seems that Phaeton is really going to use that move. On a small hill in the distance, everyone in the brigade was watching the battle on the hillside. After seeing Phaeton's fighting style, the corner of Nobunaga's mouth with a tick, he said with a faint smile. Indeed, for that move, the more injured you are, the stronger the power it will release. This guy Phaeton is preparing for that move. Fortunately, we evacuated ahead of time, otherwise it might be too late. Finks nodded in agreement, his tone full of rejoicing. Wait. Something is not quite right. At this moment, Franklin suddenly said. Indeed, something is wrong. Go back. Crollo also spoke at this time, and he also saw something. Below, the battlefield between Chi-Ya and Phaeton. At this time, the battle has begun to show a one-sided situation. Just now, after Phaeton understood the injury on his body, he had already started planning his next trick, preparing to launch the most powerful attack on Chi-Ya and burn Chi-Ya to ashes. For this reason, he retreated from the fierce fight with Chi-Ya while defending, and prepared to make pre-attack preparations. However, Chi-Ya seemed to have discovered his intention, and the attacks on him became more and more fierce. Every blow could make Fei feel his internal organs vibrate. It made him unable to free his hand to make pre-preparation, and was completely suppressed by Chi-Ya, falling into the disadvantage. Wounds all over his body, bleeding everywhere. Phaeton's other hand received a fatal blow again. The arm bone was directly broken by Chi-Ya's blow, and it slumped down. At this moment, the combat power was directly weakened by half. Damn it. At this moment, Phaeton couldn't calm down at all. His squinted eyes stared at Chi-Ya, and his eyes were flickering with anger. Being suppressed by Chi-Ya, he had no chance to use his ultimate move without injury. Damn it, man. However, everything is of no avail. As time goes by, Phaeton is completely at a disadvantage, surrounded by dangers, and is always on the verge of life and death. If he is not careful, he will be severely injured again, or even fall on the spot. Roar. It's useless. Roaring furiously, Phaeton was ready to launch his own trick desperately, ready to die with Chi-Ya. It was the first time he was forced to this level by the enemy. This shame can only be washed away by the death of Chi-Ya. For this reason, even if he loses his own life, he will not hesitate. The thoughts all over his body violently rioted. A fiery breath emanated from Phaeton's body, and a fiery red ball gradually formed on his chest. At this time, Phaeton was completely insane and completely desperate. He wants Chi-Ya to die. Chi-Ya must die, and he will not hesitate to pay any price for it. However, can things really go the way Phaeton thinks? Of course it is impossible. Chi-Ya is not an idiot. How could Chi-Ya, who knew the power of this guy's unique skill, allow him to use it smoothly? The reason why he attacked violently just now was because he didn't want this guy to have a chance to use his tortoise shell, which made him have some scruples. After all, once the ultimate move is used, without the tortoise shell, Phaeton, the initiator, will be injured at a glance. Blazing Sun. That is a powerful nen that can distinguish between friend and foe. Once there is no protection, Phaeton himself will be in danger of falling, and will be burned by the high-temperature flames of the blazing sun. However, according to the current situation, this guy seems to have been completely driven crazy. He no longer cares about himself, and seems to be ready to die with him. How can this be? You can die if you want to. I don't have time to accompany you. Facing the crazy Phaeton, the thunder on Chi-Ya's body became more violent and terrifying, and the destructive aura emanating from the raging thundersnake became more and more palpitating. Chi-Ya has not used her strongest strength before, only about 7 layers. Although the rest of Phantom Troop retreated a long distance away, Chi-Ya kept guard against them. On the other hand, if Chi-Ya had used all his strength just now, the battle would have been one-sided from the start. In this situation, everyone in the brigade would not let Phaeton attack alone, they would attack Chi-Ya together. At that time, Chi-Ya can only retreat. However, since there was a head-on collision, and Phaeton was the only one, Chi-Ya would not be cowardly, and would directly strike ruthlessly. Killing a Phantom Troop member, Chi-Ya can get at least 1,000 reinforcement points. When facing Uvajin before, Chi-Ya didn't hold back and was going to kill Uvajin here. However, in order to test the power of his enhancer's Nen cultivation base, he let Phantom Troop and others arrive in time, and missed this opportunity. This made Chi-Ya give up the idea of killing Phantom Troop members. However, I didn't expect that the members of Phantom Troop would take the initiative to create opportunities for Chi-Ya. Then Chi-Ya would naturally not be polite, relying on the information she knew in her previous life, followed Phaeton's thoughts, and set a trap for the brigade and Phaeton step by step. Up to now, Chi-Ya finally had a chance to succeed with one blow. As long as Chi-Ya exerts his full strength, Phaeton, who has not used his ultimate move, will definitely not be Chi-Ya's opponent, and cannot block Chi-Ya's attack. And at the moment when Chi-Ya released his full strength, Phaeton finally understood the current situation. The furious heart also calmed down slightly. However, immediately, Phaeton's anger exploded again. This guy, he was playing tricks on me just now. The destructive and violent aura made Phaeton understand at once that Chi-Ya's strength was far beyond his own, and he had been holding back when fighting him just now. If Chi Ya had used this strength just now, he would have been killed by Chi Ya long ago. At this moment, Phaeton didn't have any chance of saving his life, but became more and more violent and angry. He is the weak who is merciful. Unforgivable, he will never be weak. The sudden increase in anger made Phaeton's unique skill completion speed also increase dramatically. In a blink of an eye, the scorching fireball on his chest doubled in size, like a small sun, slowly floating up towards the sky. Soon, the small sun flew to an altitude of more than 10 meters, and the light it emitted directly brought the Tucker Mountains, which had already set in the west and was about to enter night, back into daylight again. The small sun floating in midair became more and more dazzling, and the scorching wind was blowing, as if it would change back to an explosion the next moment. It's useless, let's burn the sun, hee. Looking at Chi Ya's raised hand, Phaeton said with a weird and crazy expression. The next moment, the fiery small sun emitted intense heat and exploded under Phaeton's control. The intense temperature dyed the entire battlefield with another color instantly. Against the backdrop of fiery red, the fire spread instantly, turning the entire mountain range into a sea of flames in a blink of an eye. However, before the blazing sun's power broke through Chi Ya's Nian Chi defense, a sky-reaching thunder column suddenly descended, completely covering the small sun floating in midair in an instant. In an instant, the violently burning small sun completely disappeared. It completely disappeared under the thunderbolt pillar. This sudden scene made Phaeton stunned in place. The cruel look completely disappeared, replaced by disbelief. It was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured into the whole person. The monstrous anger disappeared in an instant, and even the tone of speech recovered. How is it possible, my blazing sun? Before he could finish speaking, a pillar of thunder that reached the sky had already descended on him. Boom. At sunset, there was a loud bang, and a pillar of thunder descended on the Tucker Mountains. The sea of flames all over the mountains was completely blown away and extinguished at the moment when the pillar of thunder descended. The sky-reaching thunder column kept flickering and buzzing, and it slowly dissipated after more than 10 seconds. As the thunder pillar dissipated, the situation on the ground gradually appeared, and a terrifying bottomless abyss across the mountain range appeared on the ground. On the edge of the abyss, Chi Ya has exited the speed mode, standing quietly, with the thunder snake flashing on his body from time to time. At this time, Chi Ya didn't have any joy in killing the enemy, and his expression was as usual. No, it should be said that his expression was a little gloomy. Suddenly, Chi Ya looked towards the opposite side of the abyss not far away. There, Phantom Troop and his group stared at Chi Ya warily. And Phaeton, who was in it at this time, lay unconscious on the ground. At this time, Phaeton's left hand completely disappeared, with blood flowing from the root to the bottom. Maki is using Nen to stitch up Phaeton's wound. Krollo, the head of the brigade, is holding a book in one hand and a small scarecrow in the other. The left hand of the scarecrow in his hand slowly turned into ashes at this moment, and the next moment, the whole scarecrow was directly shattered, completely reduced to ashes, and completely dissipated with the breeze. Phew. Didn't you succeed again? Chi Ya exhaled lightly, feeling a little depressed in her heart. It's okay that Uvigen didn't succeed just now, because I was testing my enhancer Nen just now, so I was delayed for some time, so everyone in the brigade arrived in time. However, this time even Phaeton was not able to kill, and was rescued in that kind of mortal situation. This is something Chi Ya can't stand. However, even if it is unbearable, Chi Ya must accept this fact. That is, Phaeton was rescued. Saved by Krollo, the leader of Phantom Troop, under his strongest blow. Krollo's scarecrow that has been reduced to ashes, combined with the fact that Phaeton was completely covered by the thunderbolt that pierced the sky before, and there is no possibility of escape, Chi Ya, who has experienced the information explosion in his previous life, soon had a guess in his heart. The scarecrow brought out by Krollo just now should have the ability to replace a person's death. The reason why Phaeton was rescued just now is probably the effect of the scarecrow in his hand. That scarecrow should have been stolen by Krollo using his ability, the thief's ultimate intent, from the Nen who fought against him. It's really tenacious, brigade. The tone was not very good. Chi Ya looked at everyone in the brigade, sighed heavily, and said in a mocking tone. The two members were defeated by themselves in a row, but they were saved by other members of the brigade twice. While Chi Ya ridiculed the weak status of the brigade members, she was also laughing at herself. Laughing at myself for being alone now. If he also has powerful companions or subordinates by his side. In the two battles today, Uvigen and Phaeton had no chance of surviving. Power. I really should establish my own power. This encounter made Chi Ya's thought that he didn't really care about become extremely strong. Even if there is no mission issued by the system, Chi Ya will start to form his own forces when he returns this time. Otherwise, the next time he encounters such a situation, he will still suffer aggrievedly. In this situation, Chi Ya knows very well that he has no chance to kill either Uvajin or Phaeton. Chi Ya felt really uncomfortable when Bai Wawa's strengthening point slipped away while she was watching. Shoot. Looking at the ashes in his hands, Krollo lost his mind for a moment, and then directly issued orders to the brigade members, without any intention of talking to Chi Ya, simply and neatly. As soon as Krollo finished speaking, Nobunaga, Finks, Franklin, Face Shadow, and Shalnark, all 5 of them turned into an afterimage, crossed the abyss in front of them, and rushed towards Chi Ya. In a blink of an eye, he appeared beside Chi Ya, directly surrounding Chi Ya. The next moment, their respective attacks came towards Chi Ya. Juhei. Consecutive days. Soul Puppet Possession, Blast Fist. Puppet Antenna. Heavy Machine Gun. Sharp Slashes, Powerful Fists, Puppet Antennas in 2s and 3s, and Endless Mind Bombs. As long as another second, no, half a second, Chi Ya will be flanked by 5 people. With a ferocious attack, even Chi Ya, once hit, would at least end up seriously injured. However, will this really be the case? Would Chi Ya really stand still and be attacked by several people? Of course not. Under Krollo's astonished gaze, the 5 people who had besieged Chi Ya flew upside down in an instant, smashing heavily towards the surroundings. And Chi Ya still stayed in the same place. Chi Ya entered the state of superspeed again. Krollo could only see an afterimage, and then found out whether it was Nobunaga, Frank Lin Yi, or Shalnark, who were all hit hard. I said, I'm not afraid of you, you can't do anything to me. Chi Ya in the superspeed state looked indifferently at Krollo, who was in a daze, and said indifferently. The speed of the wind and the thunder. The rapid use of skills is the same as lightning. However, the flash and lightning relies on Chi Ya's own will to change the muscle action. Blast Thunder, on the other hand, senses the opponent's actions through the enemy's hostile thoughts and vibrations, and acts with physical reflexes. Predict the enemy's opportunity and win by surprise. The attacking methods of the 5 Nobunaga were all in Chi Ya's perception, and they responded. Coupled with Chi Ya's speed, none of the 5 could escape. However, it is only to this extent. 1 or 2 more, Chi Ya would not be able to fully react. After all, the members of Phantom Troop are all Nen Masters. Chi Ya's physical reflexes can't reach that level yet. However, even 5 is enough. This brat. Standing up from the ground in embarrassment, Nobunaga looked at Chi Ya with some doubts. Just now, my knife was only 1 centimeter away from Chi Ya's neck and was about to cut it off. However, the next moment, he was hit hard and was blown away without him noticing. The same was true for the others. After standing firmly on the ground, they all stared at Chi Ya solemnly. This time, none of them acted rashly. This time it was just an attack, and the next time it might be a fatal injury. Therefore, before you have figured out the situation, you can't just shoot casually. The speed was so fast, there were at least 5 attacks at that moment, and Nobunaga and the others didn't notice it at all. Compared with Nobunaga and the others, Krollo, who was standing on the opposite side of the ravine, saw some clues. Although it was only an afterimage, he could clearly see Chi Ya launching different attacks towards the 5 people in an instant. Up to now, he has to admit that in terms of speed, Chi Ya is the fastest in the world he has ever seen. At least he has never seen a Nen who is faster than Chi Ya. But, it's really arrogant words. Is this your whole card? If it's just like this, it's not enough, kid. Krollo said calmly with his expression unchanged. He admitted that Chi Ya's speed is really fast, so fast that even if 5 Nen Masters attack at the same time, Chi Ya can dodge and counterattack instantly. However, this does not mean that Chi Ya can be proud in front of the brigade. No matter how fast they are, their Phantom Troop has the ability to keep it. For example, he has this ability. In the book in his hand is Nen who can restrain Chi Ya. Crash. The sound of pages turning, the book in Krollo's hands flipping quickly. It stopped shortly afterwards, with one of the pages standing upright in the center, and Krollo reached out and tore it off. Thief's ultimate intent and Krollo's trait Nen can steal the opponent's Nen and store it in the book in his hand if the conditions are met. If you want to use it later, just summon the book and release Nen. In the original book, this guy used it when he was fighting against Grandpa Geno and Papa Silva. Your speed is indeed very fast. None of us can catch up. If we want to keep you here, we can only slow down your speed. After tearing off the page, Krollo looked at Chi lightly. He glanced at it and said. Hearing this, Chi Ya's expression changed slightly, and he remembered the scene of being besieged by the overlord of monsters in the wetland before. At that time, he was used by one of the Warcraft overlords to increase the resistance of the air, and was changed by the other Warcraft overlord to change the gravity, and his speed was directly reduced by half. If it weren't for the existence of space ability, Chi-Ya would have fallen in the wetland of Shimmel a long time ago. Does Krollo have this ability too? That's right. This guy's ability is to steal interested nen from other people. Maybe he actually has the ability to steal this aspect. Snail's certificate. As if to confirm Chi-Ya's conjecture, Krollo pinched the pages of the book and read aloud faintly. As soon as the words fell, the pages in Krollo's hands turned into white light and disappeared. Chi-Ya, who was thinking about it, saw this scene. Her pupils shrank immediately. Without any hesitation, she quickly left the spot. However, it was still a step too late. Chi-Ya could feel that there was a force acting on her body. As soon as this force appeared, Chi-Ya could feel that his speed had been directly weakened by more than half. No, it had been weakened by 7 layers. Now Chi-Ya, after turning on the speed is just faster than before the speed is not turned on. This kind of power is even more terrifying than those 2 monster overlords in the depths of the wetland. Even, Chi-Ya felt that her body became soft for a moment, but it was only for a moment, and this feeling disappeared soon. Furthermore, this ability can be activated without any conditions at all, and can be activated at any time. Chi-Ya took a deep look at Krollo, and his face gradually became gloomy. The snail's credential, which I wrested from a coward nen. Once this ability is activated, the speed will be weakened to the extreme in an instant, just like a snail, and the victim's defense will be as fragile as a snail's shell. Of course, this only affects other people. It may not have such a big effect on this kid. This guy is not only very strong in physique, but also comparable to Uvijin in terms of defense, and his speed is unprecedented. When this ability acts on him, it will weaken his speed to the extreme, but it may not necessarily have an excellent effect on his physique. However, this ability is simply a tailor-made weapon for this kid in front of me, ha ha. Looking at Chi-Ya's gloomy face, Krollo couldn't help showing a faint, mocking smile on his indifferent face. Do it. This kid's speed is limited by me. Immediately, Krollo scattered the books in his hand, took out a small knife from his waist, wrapped in his thoughts, jumped up, and rushed towards the opposite side of the abyss. He spoke to the Nobunaga and the others. The snail's certificate. This ability is time-sensitive. Under normal circumstances, it can last for about an hour. But that's normal. This kid is clearly different. Therefore, this effect races against time and cannot be wasted. As soon as Krollo moved, Nobunaga and the others followed suit, thinking Chi-Ya surrounded him from all directions. Even Uvijin, who hadn't acted together before, followed Krollo to attack. Haha, as long as you don't have that kind of speed, I won't be weaker than you. Boy, give me your life. Uvijin's rough voice spread across the battlefield. It is indeed an ability to restrain me. I have to say, Krollo, you with thief intent are in some ways the nemesis of many nen. Because you can take out so many different nen that the enemy is caught off guard and unable to react in time. However, if I dare to say that kind of thing, how can I have no cards? Krollo, what do you think? Chi-Ya raised his head slightly, the gloom on his face disappeared completely, instead the corners of his mouth showed the same mocking color as before Krollo. Although you Krollo has a nen that the 2 overlords of Warcraft can't match, you still can't help me. Huh. Krollo, who was rushing towards Chi-Ya, frowned when he saw this scene. This kid, what else is nen not showing? Even though he thought so, Krollo's attack did not stop at all. Already appearing beside Chi-Ya, the knife in his hand has already slashed towards Chi-Ya fiercely. In several other directions, attacks by Nobunaga and others followed suit. However, at the moment when the attack fell, everyone in the brigade stared wide-eyed. A faint white light appeared from Chi-Ya's body, and the moment the attack was about to land on Chi-Ya's body, it quickly covered Chi-Ya. Goodbye, spiders. The corners of Chi-Ya's mouth curled up slightly, and Chi-Ya glanced at everyone in the brigade with a light smile, and then disappeared from the spot along with the white light in the shocked eyes of everyone. Boom. Everyone's attacks fell heavily on the ground, gravel flew across, and gunpowder smoke rose everywhere. Disappeared. The impatient Nobunaga put the knife back into its sheath, and quickly searched for it. There's no need to look for it. That kid really disappeared. That ability is the ability of space. Krollo said lightly and stopped Nobunaga. Captain. The others looked at Krollo. At this moment, Krollo's expression changed from his usual calm to extremely gloomy. The kind of nen just now, he is very clear, it is the breath of space, and there are also nen related to space in his books, so he can easily distinguish it. In other words, Chi-Ya really escaped from here, escaped under their siege. Phantom Troop, the first miss. Almost all of them were dispatched, but they missed. After everyone saw Crollo's face, they all shut up and remained silent, and the faces of all of them were also very ugly. Let's go. Get out of here, don't worry about those survivors, first find a place to treat Uvajin and Phaeton. It's amazing. This guy is so strong. Not only did he defeat those 2 demons in a row, but he was able to escape under the joint attack of other demons. After watching the battle between Chi-Ya and the brigade, they all exclaimed. Among them, Tal, the leader, couldn't help but scream. What kind of ability is this kid using? He can actually master the power of nature like lightning. I don't know, but they are so strong. Those demons are not opponents at all. It would be great if we can also have that ability. Several other children started to communicate. You said, how about we go find this person and let this person tell us to master the power of that kind of thunder? Then we will be able to kill those demons and avenge Dad and the others. One of the children suggested aloud, with a face excitement overflowed on the face, and the eyes filled up. As soon as these words came out, these people were stunned and silent. After a few seconds, someone spoke. Indeed, if we can have that kind of power, then we can avenge Amu and the others. That kind of lightning almost killed that demon. Yes, let's find that kid and let him teach us to master this power. Yes, hurry up, let's go out now, that child should not have left here. Several surviving Karuta teenagers became more and more excited as they talked, and one of them suggested excitedly. This immediately got the approval of other children. However, the next moment, Tal, who had never been involved in their conversation, poured a bucket of cold water on them. It's not relative. Why do you think that boy will teach us to master that kind of power? This. The excited people suddenly froze. That's right, it doesn't matter whether they are relatives or relatives. Why do you think Chi-Ya will teach them to master that ability? Several people were like wilted eggplants, slumped on the ground, their faces full of disappointment. It was hard to think of a way to take revenge, but it was the result they took for granted. As for Tal, after seeing the expressions of his friends, he didn't make a sound to comfort him, but became deep in thought. The little lowly Kellier on the side also fell silent, pinching the corner of Tal's clothes, and remained silent. A few minutes passed quickly. At this moment, a trace of firmness flashed in Tal's eyes in deep thought. Then he looked at the lost Karuta teenagers, took a deep breath, and said, "Everyone, listen to me." When the teenagers heard the words, they immediately looked up, their faces full of bewilderment. I have an idea. Seeing his companions looking at him, Tal slowly spoke out his plan. And following Tal's narration, the eyes of the few people who were originally dazed and dull gradually became colored, and their eyes were full of hope again. On the other side, Chi-Ya's figure quietly appeared in a white light on a big tree in the tall mountains. Huh. As soon as Chi-Ya appeared, he sat down directly against the branch and exhaled softly. Cows and sheep come in groups, and beasts always walk alone. This should be a portrayal of my future, but for me now, I am still a weak person, unable to become a lone beast. Looking at the mountains and forests in the dark night, Chi-Ya's eyes shone with a faint light. Now I am like cattle and sheep, I have to work in groups. Today's experience made Chi-Ya understand that the current self is not a beast that can walk alone in the world, but a cow, sheep, and weak person that needs to walk with others. The desire to form an exclusive force of its own is getting stronger and stronger. However, the current situation is no longer suitable for staying here. The mission can only be treated as a failure, but fortunately there is no penalty for mission failure. Silently meditating, Chi-Ya gave up her first mission. Given Chi-Ya's current situation, it might be difficult to get out if he meets a member of Phantom Troop again. Because the Thunder Pillar and Space Movement just now had consumed about 8 levels of Chi-Ya's Nyan Chi. If he encounters a member of the brigade again, Chi-Ya should be able to use another Space Movement to teleport away from the brigade's field of vision. However, in that way, Chi-Ya's thought energy will be completely lost, and it will take a very long time to recover. Coupled with the fact that Crollo has imposed vicious Nen on himself, his speed has been suppressed to the extreme and his strength has been greatly reduced. In this case, let the thoughts in the body reach the lowest point, and your own safety will be greatly reduced. Chi-Ya never puts herself in danger. Therefore, Chi-Ya is going to give up the mission and leave here. As for the survivors of the Karuta clan hidden in the mountains, Chi-Ya can only express that there is nothing they can do to help them. With this in mind, Chi-Ya took a deep look at the Taker Mountains in the dark night, shook her head slightly, then turned around and jumped down. After landing, Chi-Ya walked straight to the outside world. Chi-Ya's position at this time is the outskirts of the mountain range. From here, it only takes more than an hour to leave the Tucker mountain range. The forest in the dark night is full of dangers, the night is a paradise for wild beasts, and there are countless wild beasts lurking in the forest. However, None of these beasts dared to jump out, stood in front of Chi-Ya, and showed their fangs and claws at Chi-Ya. Each one is extremely well behaved, just like a tamed pet. Probably because the aura emanating from Chi-Ya at this time was so terrifying, like an abyss, that these wild beasts didn't dare to have any hunting thoughts at all, and they were terrified in their hearts. The instinct of the beast was completely suppressed, and he didn't dare to take any action at all. But when Chi-Ya walked about half the distance, Chi-Ya stopped suddenly, raised her head slightly, looked forward, and frowned slightly. These guys are. Sorry, I was a little confused last night. In front of Chi-Ya, who stopped, there were a group of teenagers dressed in ethnic minority costumes. The oldest boy appeared to be about 12 years old. This group of people is none other than the Karuta survivors who had been hiding in that secret cave before. Having lived here in seclusion, the Karuta people know the Taker Mountains well. It is very easy to avoid the beasts at night, and the cave where they hide is not far from here. So this group of Karuta teenagers arrived at Chi-Ya's location very quickly. As for how to find Chi-Ya, it is naturally due to the ability of little Lolita Kellier. Kelier's ability does not need to be seen with his own eyes to be effective. Even people who are seeing from someone else's field of view can share the field of view. Even if it's just a photo, Kelier can share his vision after seeing it. The ability is very against the sky. Just now, Kelier determined Chi-Ya's location by sharing Chi-Ya's vision, and relying on his familiarity with the Tucker Mountains. Immediately, the group of people came to the place where Chi-Ya must pass as quickly as possible, and appeared in front of Chi-Ya, fearing that Chi-Ya would disappear if he took a step too late. As for Chi-Ya, after seeing these boys and girls, seeing the appearance and clothing of these boys and girls, she also had some guesses in her heart. Appearing here at this time, and wearing such strange costumes, there is no doubt that these guys should be survivors of the Karuta tribe. It's just that Chi-Ya didn't expect that these survivors would appear in front of her, which Chi-Ya didn't expect. The survivors of the Karuta tribe. However, although there was a guess, Chi-Ya squinted his eyes and made a sound to confirm. As soon as these words came out, Tal and the others were taken aback immediately, and there was a trace of vigilance in their eyes looking at Chi-Ya. Originally, the words that were brewing in his throat and wanted to be dissipated at this moment. Who the hell is this guy? Why does he know our identities? Could it be that he is coming for our clan like those demons? Tal stared at Chi-Ya vigilantly, thinking with a little panic in his heart. He already regretted bringing his companions to find Chi-Ya now. If Chi-Ya is really filled with their clan like those demons before, then they are now a sheep into a tiger's mouth. You don't need to be vigilant. Although the purpose of my coming here is you, I have no ill intentions towards you. Chi-Ya naturally saw the vigilance of the Talji people. This group of youngsters are all experienced, and they can't hide their inner thoughts at all, and they all show on their faces. Although Chi-Ya said so, Tal and the others were still very vigilant, and even 2 Karuta teenagers had already started to retreat. Chi-Ya didn't care about this, and stared at Tal, and Chi-Ya could tell that the oldest Karuta boy was their leader. Survivors of the Karuta tribe, do you want revenge? Looking at Tal, Chi-Ya raised a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, and said aloud, with a hint of temptation in his tone. As soon as these words came out, the boys and girls of the 6 Kaluta clan were stunned, and then their eyes changed at the same moment, and they all turned into fiery red eyes. Think. Tal stared at Chi-Ya with red eyes, gritted his teeth and growled. Everyone else clenched their fists, and their immature faces were full of hatred. Even the little girl Kalier was the same at this time. Obviously they all thought of the tragic death of the clansman. Then, why don't you come to me? I'm responsible for teaching you to become stronger, so that you can take revenge in the future. But, relatively, you will become my subordinates. Chi-Ya didn't hesitate, and got straight to the point. As soon as Chi-Ya's words came out, Tal and the others were all taken aback, and then each of them showed surprise expressions on their faces. This is the way Tal discussed with them just now. In order to take revenge, they were going to seek refuge with Chi-Ya, wanting to rely on Chi-Ya's power. Become Chi-Ya's subordinate, let Chi-Ya teach them to become stronger, and then seek revenge from those demons. Unexpectedly, Chi-Ya's purpose coincides with theirs. Look at you. Are you here to take refuge with me? Chi-Ya naturally saw the appearance of several people, and was immediately happy. Yes, my lord, we hope to get the power to deal with those demons from you, and we will not hesitate to pay any price for this. My lord, we have all seen the scene where you fought those demons just now. You have that kind of powerful natural force and the power to kill those demons. We hope to become your subordinates and learn from you that kind of power. Tal didn't hide anything, and said directly, with an extremely respectful tone. Now that Chi-Ya said so, Tall also knew that Chi-Ya was not malicious, so he had no intention of hiding it. Besides, there is no need to hide this kind of thing. And Chi-Ya is now their only lifeline. If they continue to hide here, they are prone to accidents. Even if they are not found, food is still a crisis. The power of nature, do you mean Nen? Chi-Ya was slightly taken aback when he heard this, and immediately understood. That kind of power is called Nen. After getting the answer from Chi-Ya, Tall and the others were suddenly stunned. That little girl next to you doesn't own Nen. Seeing this scene, Chi-Ya raised her brows and said in surprise. Kohler? The eyes of the others were all on the little lowly Kellier beside Tall. So that's it, Kellier's ability is amazing. The teenagers were not idiots, and soon understood what Chi-Ya said, which made them even more surprised. Looking at you, you don't seem to know Nen. Chi-Ya's expression became even weirder. I don't know. Although some adults in the clan have this kind of power, we don't know that this ability is called Nen, and the adults didn't say it. Tall replied awkwardly. I see. Chi-Ya raised his eyebrows upon hearing this. No wonder the guy Kurapika in the original book doesn't know about Nen's existence. The feeling is that the adults of the Karuta tribe did not explain the existence of Nen to the younger generation. I don't know Nen at this age, and I don't know why the Karuta people do this. Isn't this a waste of the talents of their Karuta people? Chi-Ya was speechless and indignant at the way the Karuta people handled things. If the Karuta tribe passed Nen on, the entire Karuta tribe would be masters of Nen, and Phantom Troop would not be able to destroy the Karuta tribe at all. However, this is also Chi-Ya's fault for the Luda tribe. The Karuta people have always been in a state of seclusion. Although they have some contact with the outside world, they don't know anything about the existence of Nen. Those Karuta people who have Nen are all awakened by exercise in the process of growing up, and then slowly groping for cultivation. They don't even know what this power is called, how to get Nen, and the system, so they don't pass it on. Moreover, the Karuta tribe has always loved peace and dislikes fighting. Strength is not very important to them. In their hearts, everything is according to fate, they can have the best, and it doesn't matter if they can't. That's why this happens. My lord, are what you just said true? Can we be your subordinates, and learn from you the power called Nen? At this moment, Tall spoke again, and he looked at Chi-Ya with an extremely firm expression, with a firm look in his eyes. The slightest hope. Ah, of course, the purpose of my visit this time is to see if there are any survivors among you, and I want to save you from Phantom Troop and take them under my command. Are you willing? Chi-Ya smiled, responded and asked. As long as we can take revenge and ask us to do anything, we have no objection. Upon receiving the reply, Tarleton trembled all over, took a deep breath, and then bowed heavily to Chi-Ya. The others followed Tao's lead and bowed heavily to Chi-Ya. Chi-Ya. In the silent Tucker Mountains, 2 waves of Chi-Ya and Phantom Troop left here one after another. And not long after the 2 waves of people left, a mournful roar sounded in the mountains.
Tall, bring them with me. 2 days later, after opening the majestic gate of trial in the Kukulu mountain of the Republic of Bodokia, Chi-Ya commanded the Talls behind him.
After finishing speaking, Chi-Ya walked towards the inside. The door also has a tendency to close. The majestic Tall, who was shocked by the trial gate, heard the words and saw the trial gate that was slowly closing, and hurriedly woke up several other companions, leading them to follow closely. After half an hour's journey, Chi-Ya brought Tall and others to a villa. In front of the villa, there were already many housekeepers here, posing a solemn welcome ceremony in line. Master Chi-Ya, welcome back. Indus standing in the front saluted Chi-Ya.
Well, I'm back, Wudong. Chi-Ya nodded slightly, and responded. Immediately, he glanced at Tall and the others behind him, who seemed a little restrained because of the large number of housekeepers, and said to Wudong, Wudong, arrange them check-in, give them special training by the way, and I will come back in a month.
Yes, Master Chi-Ya. Indus replied respectfully. You follow Wudong first, your physique is too weak, let Wudong train you, and I will come to you after a while. After ordering Wudong, Chi-Ya turned to Tall and the others and said.
Yes, Master Chi-Ya. On the way back from the airship, Chi-Ya already knew the information of several people, and at the same time, several people also knew Chi-Ya's identity. Under Chi-Ya's decision, several people were with the Zoldyck family. The housekeepers also called Chi-Ya the young master.
Yeah. Nodding, Chi-Ya walked towards the villa. In the gorgeous and spacious bathroom, water vapor filled the air. Chi-Ya closed her eyes, quietly leaning against the edge of the bath, washing her inner exhaustion in the flowing hot spring. Although he only went out for a few days, and still traveled by airship, it can be considered exhausting. In addition, he collided with Phantom Troop once in the Tucker Mountains. Chi-Ya was also mentally exhausted. Soaking in the warm pool water also made Chi-Ya's tiredness slowly dissipate. After a long time, Chi-Ya slowly opened his eyes. After opening his eyes, Chi-Ya directly summoned his attribute panel from his mind. Name. Chi-Ya Zoldyck ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen Speed Thunder, 5000. Trait Nen Space, 5000. Manipulator Nen Ring of Angel Archangel's Breath, 5000. Enhancer Nen, 5000. Strengthen points. Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced Cuisine, 500. Note. In brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 3653 item. Aluminum alloy yo-yo. A familiar panel emerged in Chi-Ya's mind. On the left side of the panel, there is another panel. Task panel. Task template quest name, Zoldyck Patriarch.
Task introduction. As the future owner of Zoldyck, the host must establish a force that belongs exclusively to the host. Ask the host to go to the hidden place of the Kuruda tribe, rescue the survivors of the Kuruda tribe from Phantom Troop, and successfully recruit survivors.
Task reward. 5000 strengthening points, 1 chance to awaken the Nen system. Completed. The first task released by the system has already displayed the completion status. It can be completely completed after Chi-Ya receives the reward. System. Receive the mission reward. Chi-Ya didn't procrastinate, and directly received the mission reward. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 5000 strengthening points and a chance to awaken the Nen system once. System. Use the Nen system awakening opportunity. As soon as the mission reward is received, Chi-Ya will directly use the reward this time. Ding. Use the opportunity to awaken the Nen system. Congratulations to the host for getting the emitter eliminate thoughts. Before the words fell, Chi-Ya trembled all over, and the eyes sparkled. Demining is the ability of demining masters, and demining masters are a special profession among naughty ones. Nen of any system has the opportunity to cultivate this ability, but the number of people who can cultivate successfully is very few in the whole world. According to the records that Chi-Ya saw in the library, among the information obtained by the Zoldyck family, there are less than 24 known Nemesis masters, and the number is so rare that it is almost rare. And the ability to eliminate thoughts, as the name suggests, can clear away Nen. Just like 2 days ago, the snail certificate used by Krollo is a malignant Nen that acts on others, negatively affects others, and even threatens life. And the master of eliminating thoughts is aware of the existence of these Nen. In other words, the current Chi-Ya is already a rare Nemesis teacher. 2 days ago in the Tucker Mountains, although Chi-Ya seemed extremely relaxed, it was extremely thrilling. The weird ability used by Krollo almost completely restrained Chi-Ya. If it wasn't for Chi-Ya's spatial ability, Chi-Ya who consumed too much mental energy and weakened his speed to that extent would have 100% fallen there. But now, Chi-Ya who has the exception of Nen doesn't have to be afraid of these weird Nen at all. Even if you get hit by someone else's Nen, Chi-Ya can easily get rid of it by himself. On the way back, Chi-Ya was still thinking about how to deal with this special and weird Nen. Thinking about whether to use strengthening points to cultivate a portion of Nen. Unexpectedly, the Nen system awakening reward rewarded by the system solved Chi-Ya's problem first. It's really hard to find a place to go through iron shoes, and it doesn't take much effort to get it. No, it's not without effort, after all. This is the task reward Chi-Ya got for completing the task.
Name. Chi-Ya Zoldyck. Ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen Speed Thunder, 5000. Trait Nen Space, 5000. Manipulator Nen Ring of Angel Archangel's Breath, 5000. Enhancer Nen, 5000. Emitter Nen Exorcism, 1000. Note. The reinforcement points required for the next reinforcement are in parentheses.
Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced Cuisine, 500. Note. In brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 8653 item. Aluminum alloy yo-yo. Although it is a bit dangerous, the harvest is also very impressive. Dang Dang's removal of Nen is enough to offset this thrill. What's more, there are 5000 strengthening points. Now, besides Nen, I already have it. Although it is not at the same level as the trait space ability awakened for the first time, it is still very good. Although the Nen obtained from the awakening of Nen this time is not at the same level as the previous space ability, Chi-Ya is also very satisfied. Immediately, Chi-Ya's thoughts were immersed in the panel in his mind again. I now have more than 8000 enhancement points, how should I use them? Looking at the attribute panel in his mind, Chi-Ya fell into deep thought. More than 8000 strengthening points can make Chi-Ya's conjurer, traits, manipulator, enhancer, and Nen of any series get strengthened once. First, Chi-Ya ruled out the manipulator's archangel breath. Because, as far as Chi-Ya's current situation is concerned, the healing ability of the Archangel's breath is enough for Chi-Ya to use. The rest is the Conjurer's speed, and the space of the trait system has been strengthened by the enhancer.
There is currently no clear ability for the space ability of the trait system. There is only the basic ability of space transfer. Others have not been developed. Even if you want to strengthen it, there is no goal. Is it possible to strengthen space transfer? So temporarily pass.
The speed of the Conjurer and the strengthening of the enhancer. My Conjurer's thunder is obviously more powerful than the enhancer's Nian Qi. Even if you don't look at the power, you can see it from the reinforcement points required for the next level of reinforcement. Although the enhancement points required for the next level are the same, Conjurer's speed has already been strengthened by the ability enhancement from the novice gift package. Compared to Enhancer's Nen, it's obviously one level higher. My current Thunderbolt can attract the Thunderbolt from heaven and earth to attack. In terms of power, it is not comparable to my current Enhancer's combat power. It was the same in the battle with Uvajin. As soon as the speed was turned on, once the power of thunder was used, it would directly break Uvajin's defense against the energy of the enhancer, causing the attack to fall completely on him, and the other hit hard. If it continues to be strengthened, what kind of shocking changes will this power have? As for the enhancer, if I continue to strengthen it, my attack power will also become stronger, and the power of my full strength attack is definitely stronger than the missiles in thermal weapons. Just don't know how much stronger it will be. Should I let the Conjurer take the lead, or should the enhancer and the Conjurer go hand in hand? In the lingering hot spring mist, Chi-Ya's expression was slightly dazed. He was thinking about his next strengthening direction, and decided. After contemplating for a few minutes, Chi-Ya finally made a decision. That is to continue to strengthen the Conjurer. Without him, Chi-Ya is very curious. What will happen if he continues to strengthen with the speed that he is now able to attract the thunder between heaven and earth? System. Use the strengthening points to strengthen speed. Thunder. Chi-Ya instructed the system. Ding. Use 5,000 enhancement points to strengthen the speed. Thunder. Congratulations to the host for getting speed. Thunder. As soon as the system's voice fell, Chi-Ya clearly felt that the Conjurer's thoughts in his body more than doubled in an instant. If Chi-Ya before had about 50,000 thoughts in his body, then Chi-Ya now has 100,000. With this level of Nian Qi cultivation, Chi-Ya estimates that the Nian Qi in his body can already be compared with that of his father Silva. Just don't know who is strong and who is weak. In addition, Chi-Ya also felt that his physique had changed, but Chi-Ya's feeling of this change was a little unpredictable. Stretching out her left hand in front of her eyes, Chi-Ya frowned slightly, with a slight thought, trying to touch this change. The next moment Chi-Ya saw that the palm of his left hand had turned into a faint blue thunderbolt, and he had no palm at all. This is. Chi-Ya's eyes widened suddenly. Elementalization. This is elementalization. After being strengthened again, not only Chi-Ya's Nianqi cultivation in his body has skyrocketed, but his physique has also changed. His hands can actually turn into lightning. With another thought, Chi-Ya's whole body turned into lightning. Her original body completely disappeared, leaving only a figure completely composed of lightning. The thunder snake spread out along the surface of the water, raging mercilessly and thundering. In a blink of an eye, the entire hot spring bath was destroyed by lightning, and the smoke filled the air. Afterwards, the thunder and lightning dissipated slowly, and Chi-Ya's body recovered again. The recovered Chi-Ya is completely indifferent to everything around her. At this moment, Chi-Ya was very pleasantly surprised. No wonder it is called thunder. The strength I gained this time is the same as the elemental ability of the thunder fruit in One Piece. After Chi-Ya changed back to her original body, information about elementalization also appeared in Chi-Ya's mind. After learning this information, Chi-Ya frowned slightly, but smiled freely the next moment. Chi-Ya got the message that her elementalization is not invulnerable. As long as there is enough mind energy, Nen masters can still attack themselves. However, this kind of attack must be a physical attack, and other attacks cannot harm Chi-Ya at all. In other words, if you want to injure Chi-Ya, you must engage in close combat, and the attacks of mages among the Nen will not be effective. For example, Phaeton's attack, Blazing Sun, encountered again. Chi-Ya didn't need to use Thunderbolt to destroy him at all, and it would be fine to stand there and let him burn. What's more, apart from those thermal weapons that restrained lightning, other thermal weapons were unable to cause damage to Chi-Ya. Thinking about it this way, it can be said that this weakness has very little restraint on Chi-Ya. The benefits of elementalization followed by negligible restraint are almost incomparable. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Although this ability is somewhat limited, Chi-Ya still has nothing to complain about. Moreover, the power of Chi-Ya's thunder is a little stronger. When she came back to her senses, Chi-Ya looked at the messy hot spring in here, and the corner of her mouth twitched slightly. It's no longer possible to take a bath here, slip. In the dim corridor, Chi-Ya walked slowly. The little lights against the background not only did not make the corridor brighter, but on the contrary made it deeper, giving people a sense of sight of an abyss. However, this atmosphere has no effect on Chi-Ya at all. Chi-Ya walked into the darkness without saying a word. After going through layers of tightly sealed gates, Chi-Ya arrived at the final destination. In front of a steel gate with 7 or 8 layers of institutions. After a dozen clicks on the combination lock on the side of the gate, the mechanism on the gate was quickly unlocked. This is the place where the deepest member of the Zoldyck family, Chi-Ya's sister Aluka, was imprisoned. That's right, it's the younger sister, maybe because of the butterfly effect caused by Chi-Ya's relationship. Aluka, who was supposed to be the younger brother, was indeed a girl. Aluka, known as a dark creature by other members of the Zoldyck family, is tabooed by the tribe. Since Chi-Ya was reborn into this world and knew her identity, and knew of the existence of Aluka, she took measures early to prevent the abilities of Aluka and Nanika from being exposed to the eyes of everyone. However, he was still unable to avoid it despite all precautions. Last year, when Chi-Ya went out to carry out the assassination mission, because of an accident, Aluka's ability was finally exposed. That mission Chi-Ya accepted 3 missions at one time, and stayed outside for a long time. When Chi-Ya came back, it was a done deal, and Aluka had already been locked in this secret room. Even though Chi-Ya is the head of the next generation, Silva, Geno and others still let go, and nothing can be changed. However, Chi-Ya fought hard on the grounds, and as the future head of the family, he got the opportunity from Silva to visit Aluka once a month. It's been a month and a half since I last visited Aluka. This time Chi-Ya this month's chance. And to make Silva, Geno and others change their minds, they need to make their power in the Zoldyck family stronger, powerful enough to shake Silva and Geno. For this, Chi-Ya needs a stronger force. This is also the reason why Chi-Ya non-stop began to use the system to become stronger after getting the system. Because, Chi-Ya wanted to release Aluka from here as soon as possible. There was a rumbling mechanical sound, and as Chi-Ya entered the password, the gate of the mechanism opened slowly, and Chi-Ya stepped in. Aluka, big brother came to see you. In the bright secret room, a little loli in a kimono with an innocent smile on her face slowly raised her head. Big brother, in the huge airship, Chi-Ya sat on the glass window, quietly looking at the clear sky, and occasionally 2 white clouds passed by. It has been 2 days since Chi-Ya visited Aluka in the deepest chamber of the Zoldyck family. Chi-Ya once again set foot on the airship leaving the Republic of Batorchia. Embarked on the road to continue to become stronger. Compared with my father, my current strength should be a little bit worse, about 9. If I want my words to change the decision-making of the entire family, my strength is still not enough, too weak. In the Zoldyck family, the strong are respected. As your strength becomes stronger, the right to speak in the family will also change along with your strength. With Chi-Ya's current strength, he is still inferior to his father Silva and Geno. It's not that Chi-Ya can't forcefully bring Ya Lugia out of the family. As long as Chi-Ya is willing, Chi-Ya can bring Aluka out at any time. Because, Aluka and Nanika only listen to Chi-Ya. As long as Chi-Ya wants to use Nanika's terrifying ability that is so terrifying, Nanika will follow Chi-Ya's instructions to use it at any time. The Zoldyck family is unstoppable, just like Chi-Ya in the original book who used Nanika's ability to intimidate Silva and others. However, Chi-Ya doesn't want to. Chi-Ya doesn't want to break up with the family. Once Nanika's ability is used to get Aluka out of there, then there will be a crack in the relationship between himself and Aluka and the family that can never be restored. Although the Zoldyck family kills without batting an eyelid, as cold-blooded and cruel, but the relationship between the clansmen is quite harmonious, and Chi-Ya doesn't want to destroy this relationship. Of course, except for Aluka, in the Zoldyck family, except for Chi-Ya, no one regards Aluka as a family member. Otherwise, it would not be locked up and called a dark creature. Thinking of this, Chi-Ya sighed heavily. It's a long way to go to get Dad and the others to release Aluka. Shaking her head slightly, Chi-Ya got up and left the hall, walking towards her own room. After several hours, the airship finally arrived at its destination. A small country in the eastern part of the continent, called Shak. No, it is said to be a small country, but it is actually not small. The area occupied by this country can rank 5th in the world. The reason why it is a small country is because there are too few residents in this country. In this country, the residence of citizens occupies only 1/10 of this country. The rest are some deep mountains and dense forests, magic realms and secret realms. In this country, it is rare to have two undeveloped secret realms, the Kekeli ruins and the Bakr secret realm. Because of the existence of the two secret realms, a large number of relic hunters, eudemons hunters, and other miscellaneous hunters often haunt this country and develop the two secret realms. It has been more than 10 years since the two secret realms were discovered. However, it has not been fully developed until now. However, according to the information released by these hunters, even though the two secret realms in this country have been developed, there are still a large number of monsters. Although it can't be compared with the paradise of monsters like Wetmele Wetland, the number of them is still very considerable. These magical beasts in the secret realm are very cunning, and they are a headache to clean up. After 10 years of cleaning up, only about half of them have been cleaned up. By the way, there are no signs of the entry of Kim Freesi SS, the high-yielding sow, to the two uncharted realms of the kingdom. This is why Chi Ya chooses here. If this guy Jin had been here, it is estimated that there would have been no grass growing here. Goose over the plucking guy. In fact, it's not right to say that about Jin, because Jin will leave some seeds anyway. If it were Chi Ya, if he had the ability, it is estimated that the monsters here would be killed by Chi Ya to extinction. Chi Ya is now thinking about the wetland, and when Chi Ya's strength is a little bit stronger, Chi Ya will fight back to the depths of the wetland and meet those Warcraft overlords. The next time I go there, Chi Ya will definitely fight those guys to the death. Well, that's something that will happen later. At least the current Chi Ya still can't have enough power to fight those Warcraft overlords. Again, the current Chi Ya is not a beast that can walk alone. Having said that, after coming out of the airport, Chi Ya directly boarded a car and headed towards the Kekeli ruins. This place is different from Shimmel Wetland, because Hunter often goes to the ruins, so the drivers here are no longer surprised by the guests like Chi Ya who go to cities other than the ruins. These taxi drivers can't wait for someone to set off to the ruins. Because it is about going to the ruins, they will charge a lot of fees every time they go to the territory outside the ruins in the secret realm. The one-time fee is enough for these drivers to work for a month. After all, it is a special city close to ruins and secret places. Seeking wealth, and wealth refers to people like them. After several hours' journey, Chi Ya finally arrived at the city outside the Kekeli ruins. Let's find a hotel to rest for a night, and then set off to enter the Kekeli ruins tomorrow. After arriving in this city, Chi Ya decided to rest for a night before taking action. After arriving at the only hotel in this fringe city and registering at the front desk of the lobby, Chi Ya carried her small backpack on her shoulders and walked towards the elevator with her room card. However, before taking 2 steps, a very familiar voice came from behind Chi Ya, making Chi Ya stop. Chi Ya turned her head slightly and looked over. Menchi. At the gate, Menchi, whom Chi Ya met in Shimmel Wetland before, was leading a few people towards this side. While walking, Menchi was stretching his fingers and closing his eyes and talking, rebuking, or admonishing. Although Chi Ya's voice is not loud, it is also not low, and it is easy to hear. Menchi, who was talking, was stunned when he heard Chi Ya's voice, and opened his eyes to look over. After seeing Chi Ya, her eyes lit up immediately, then she left her companion and ran towards Chi Ya in a hurry. Chi Ya. In the blink of an eye, Menchi appeared in front of Chi Ya, stretched out his hands to embrace Chi Ya in his arms, and offered benefits to Chi Ya. Stop it. Don't use facial cleanser. Being swept up like this, Chi Ya suddenly had crossroads on his forehead, his face was full of displeasure, and he began to struggle. However, Menchi couldn't break free from Menchi's hug at all, and if he really struggled hard, he was afraid of hurting Menchi, and after several minutes of continuous facial cleanser offensive, Menchi stopped. Why are you here? Chi Ya asked unhappily while kneading her immature face. I'm here to explore Bakr's secret place, and see if I can unearth some ingredients. I didn't expect to meet you here. What are you doing here? Menchi replied carelessly when he heard the words. Very excited. The entrances to the Kekeli ruins and Bakr's secret realm are both outside the city, but one is east and the other is westward, extending several kilometers before the real ruins' secret realm. The place Chi Ya wants to go to is the Kekeli ruins. These two secret places and ruins are in opposite geographical locations. What else can you do? Come here to explore. Chi Ya rolled his eyes when he heard this. What else can people who come here do besides go to explore the secret land? Of course, it is impossible for him to say that he came here to kill monsters to earn enhancement points. Really? That's great, let's go together. Hearing Chi Ya's words, Menchi's eyes lit up and he invited excitedly. He knows how powerful Chi Ya is, even the big guy Samo K has been taken care of by Chi Ya, which she has already confirmed from President Netero. In addition, Chi-Ya also has the ability to heal. If Chi-Ya can be invited to join their team, it will definitely be a great boon for their team. With the addition of Chi-Ya, they can basically walk sideways unless they encounter native traps in the secret realm. Even if you encounter villains who are exploring secret places and ruins, you are not afraid. And Chi-Ya, after hearing Menchi's invitation, refused without thinking. Just kidding. Menchi is a F*Kn guy, he doesn't want to act with this guy. Although Menchi said before when they were separated that he would grow and mature. However, how long has it been since we separated last time? Chi-Ya can't believe that Menchi will have such a big change. Chi-Ya's refusal made Menchi very puzzled and annoyed, but soon changed his face. Why not together? The two of us met so soon, doesn't this prove our fate? Since we've met, let's act together. Menchi put his hand on Chi-Ya's shoulder, pinched Chi-Ya's cheek, and said with a playful smile. At this moment, the people who came with Menchi also came over and looked at Chi-Ya in surprise. They were old partners with Menchi, but it was the first time they saw Menchi like this. It was the first time for Menchi to see a person so excited that he dumped their companions in a flash. Exactly, Chi-Ya, let me introduce you some. These are my companions. This is Kekel, this is Bilu, this is Hangdali, and this is Buhara. Menchi introduced several companions. Several companions are 3 men and 1 woman. Kekel is a small young man with a killer haircut. Bai Lu is a young lady who is very rich. And Hendali is a middle-aged uncle with a gentle complexion. As for the last one, this Chi-Ya is very familiar. In the future, the 287th Hunter trial, the fat examiner Buhara who appeared with Menchi in the second trial. Following Menchi's introduction, several people nodded to Chi-Ya. Seeing this, Chi-Ya also nodded slightly, and then prepared to introduce herself. However, before the words could be spoken, Menchi cut him off. This is my little brother Chi-Ya. What do you think? Menchi started the facial cleanser offensive again to Chi-Ya, and said to several companions at the same time. Who is your little brother? Let me go. Chi-Ya's forehead began to appear crossroads again, and his hands began to push Menchi's face. Seeing the interaction between the two, the 4 people on the opposite side shook their heads amusedly. Chi-Ya did not agree to act with Menchi and the others, even though Menchi repeatedly invited them. After all, Menchi and others came here to develop the secret realm, while Chi-Ya himself came here to kill the monsters in the secret realm in the ruins. The purpose between the two is completely different. After resting in the hotel for one night, Chi-Ya came out of the city together with Menchi and others. Then, let's say goodbye here, Chi-Ya. Standing at the 3-way intersection, Menchi smiled and waved to Chi-Ya. On the other side of the fork in the road, Chi-Ya also nodded lightly. Goodbye. After finishing speaking, Chi-Ya turned around and walked straight towards the ruins. Looking at Chi-Ya's back, Menchi waved his hand, looking slightly dazed. She didn't expect that she and Chi-Ya would meet so soon after the time in the wetland. It was thanks to the existence of Chi-Ya that she saved her life in the wetland. For Chi-Ya, Menchi is deeply grateful. This time she met Chi-Ya, she was going to see if she could help Chi-Ya, but Chi-Ya flatly rejected the invitation. It wasn't until her companion reminded her that she came back to her senses and quickly followed her companion. Hey, Menchi, even though that kid is a nen, he has already rejected it, so you don't need to repeat the invitation. On the way, Bai Lu, who owned an airport at a young age, said very unhappy. The others nodded in agreement. Menchi was the leader of their group, and they were all very dissatisfied with their leader's invitation to Chi-Ya after being rejected yesterday. Since Chi-Ya is not willing, why continue to invite them, making them seem to be begging Chi-Ya for a look? Haha, I know you guys are upset, but if Chi-Ya can join, then our security in this secret realm will be greatly enhanced. Do you still remember what I told you about the depths of the wetland in Shimmel? Menchi laughed, understanding the feelings of his companions, without emotion, but asked a question instead. You're talking about the Warcraft overlord Samo K being killed. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Bai Lu raised her eyebrows and asked in confusion. Hey. Menchi didn't answer, but smiled. Seeing Menchi like this, Kikir, a small young man, suddenly had some guesses and an exaggerated expression. Hey, Menchi, don't tell me, it was the Samek that kid killed? As soon as these words came out, the eyes of several people were all on Menchi. Being watched by several people, Menchi puffed out his chest immediately, and nodded proudly. That's right, Samo K was killed by Chi-Ya. So you now know why I asked him to join our team. Chi-Ya has the ability to kill Samo K. Invite him to join us, then our business will be much safer. Moreover, Chi-Ya also has the ability to heal. He saved me last time. The expression on Menchi's face became more and more smug, as if she had killed Samo K herself. Menchi's affirmation immediately shocked several people. They had heard the existence of Chi-Ya from Menchi before, but Menchi didn't say Chi-Ya's name, and, yesterday Menchi also said that Chi-Ya was her little brother, plus Chi-Ya looks so small. So they didn't think about it at all. I didn't expect Chi-Ya to have such strength. Menchi are companions, so naturally there is no need to lie to them. It's a pity. If I had known earlier, I would have betrayed my appearance and kidnapped him into our team, Bai Lu said with a face full of regret. As soon as these words came out, the corners of Buhara and the others twitched. Speaking of which, you don't even think about how big Chi-Ya is, and she actually wants to seduce an 8-year-old child. Thank goodness you figured it out. Being stared at by several people, Bai Lu immediately thought of this and smiled awkwardly. At this moment, she suddenly felt a sharp gaze. Following his gaze, he saw Menchi was staring at her vigilantly. This discovery immediately made Bai Lu's mouth twitch. Menchi, what are you doing? You bastard, you actually want to hit my little brother's attention, Menchi said with a look of guard. Bai Lu. I warn you. Chi-Ya belongs to the Zoldyck family. If you are not afraid of death, you can try it. As soon as these words came out, Bai Lu trembled all over. Thinking of the vicious name of the Zoldyck family, she was quite frightened, and hurriedly waved her hands. Don't be kidding, I don't have such thoughts at all. The others were also shocked. Humph. Seeing Bai Lu's terrified expression, Menchi snorted softly and nodded in satisfaction. After that, she didn't continue to say anything, she turned around and walked towards the direction of Barker's secret realm. However, in his heart, Menchi was wary of his teammate. This guy Bai Lu actually has such thoughts. No, you have to be careful. Chi-Ya is a potential stalk and cannot be robbed. The others followed closely. Buhara, who was walking at the end, had a strange look on his face. He noticed Menchi's expression just now. Apart from being unhappy, Menchi's expression just now was obviously more anxious, as if he was afraid of something being taken away. This can't help but make him have some guesses about Menchi's mind. However, he didn't say anything, but silently hid the matter in his heart. On the other side, Chi-Ya's side. After several hours of walking, Chi-Ya finally came to the outside of the Kakeli ruins. In front of Chi-Ya is a dense, dark forest. From the outside you can't see what's going on inside. A desolate aura rushes towards your face, shaking Chi-Ya's position. According to the information, from this forest is the scope of the Kakeli ruins. What will happen after this is still unknown. Chi-Ya looked up slightly, then walked in without saying a word. This ruin is a bit like a certain civilization in the previous life. After a few hours' journey, Chi-Ya entered the ruins smoothly. As soon as he entered the ruins, Chi-Ya saw all kinds of ruined walls and ruins. These ruined buildings were all made of stone, and there were also mysterious and complex bright paintings and textures on the walls of the building. However, due to the dilapidated relationship, these mysterious paintings and textures have long lost their original light, color, and moss-covered buildings in the long history, which made Chi-Ya feel a kind of civilization at a glance. The feeling of loneliness and desolation after death. This kind of building is very similar to a certain mysterious civilization recorded in Chi-Ya's previous life. If it were those ancient historians, ancient architects, and related professional hunters, they would definitely be so excited that they would excavate these buildings quickly. Dig out the meaning behind it, civilization. However, these have nothing to do with Chi-Ya. Chi-Ya has no intention of staying here. Coming here on this trip, Chi-Ya's purpose has always been only one. That is to kill the monsters living in this ruins, and obtain strengthening points. After glancing at the damaged historical buildings on both sides again, Chi-Ya shook his head slightly and left here. He has no time to waste here. However, just after Chi-Ya took a few steps, there was a sudden movement under Chi-Ya's feet. A crack appeared in an instant, and spread rapidly, not even a second before and after. The next moment, the entire ground directly collapsed, and a dark hole appeared in Chi-Ya's field of vision. Chi-Ya was ready to jump away immediately, but it was too late. The collapse of the ground made Chi-Ya nowhere to rely on, unable to jump up at all, and fell directly along the collapsed ground. Chi-Ya frowned suddenly, not flustered at all, very calm. With a flick of the cuff of his left hand, an aluminum alloy yo-yo appeared in his palm. Chi-Ya flicked it hard, and flung it towards the entrance of the cave. The next moment, Chi-Ya's falling figure stopped, and outside the entrance of the cave, the yo-yo was firmly wrapped around a huge ruined wall. At this time, everything around Chi-Ya is dark, only the hole above the head has the slightest light. Chi Ya's body floated gently in the darkness. It's so dark, you can't be careless for a moment. Chi Ya was slightly relieved, and then sighed. However, the next moment, Chi Ya's expression changed suddenly. With a bang, the aluminum alloy wire in Chi Ya's hand broke directly, and the whole person fell into the darkness again. On the ground, the yo-yo and the silk thread at the other end lay quietly on the broken stone slab. An afterimage flashed quickly. There are enemies outside. Chi Ya was startled suddenly and read. However, the current Chi Ya doesn't have the heart to think about it. It was so dark that Chi Ya couldn't distinguish the surrounding environment at all. Chi Ya only knows that this hole is very deep. Chi Ya fell for more than 10 seconds, but still did not fall to the ground. Zzz. With the clear chirping sound and the faint blue lightning covering the whole body, Chi Ya directly entered the state of super speed. Everything around is illuminated. I saw that 2 meters away from Chi Ya were walls covered with moss. Where Chi Ya is now is a square passage, a bit like the passage of a chimney. But below, it was still dark. This made Chi Ya feel a little terrified. How deep is this passage? I have fallen for so long, but I still haven't reached the end. Shouldn't it fall directly to the end of the Earth's center?
Wouldn't I be dead like that? Just when Chi Ya was teasing herself, a change finally appeared below Chi Ya.
I saw a white light spot zooming in quickly in Chi Ya's field of vision. In the blink of an eye, it was already several meters in size. And Chi Ya also realized something. The thoughts in his body suddenly condensed, making his body slow down. But if so, it still doesn't have much effect. With a loud noise, gravel flew horizontally, and a fountain of gravel rose into the sky. The huge gravitational force brought by Chi Ya's landing caused Chi Ya to smash into the ground heavily. After more than 10 seconds, the gunpowder smoke slowly dissipated, revealing the situation inside. I saw that Chi Ya was covered in mud and dust, and he was extremely embarrassed. At this moment, Chi Ya was sitting cross-legged in the deep pit, with her chin resting on her hand, and she had a gritted teeth expression. That guy above, don't let me meet you, or I will definitely tear you to pieces. Let your body be smashed to pieces, let your soul fly away. After venting a few words, Chi Ya slowly stood up from the pit. The strong physique prevented Chi Ya from being seriously injured by falling from such a high place. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been smashed to pieces long ago. Of course, if Chi Ya hadn't forcibly condensed her thoughts at the last moment to make her body lighter, Chi Ya would not be completely fine now. Injuries are inevitable. Where is this place? Jumping out of the deep pit, Chi Ya patted the dust and dirt on his body while observing the surroundings. The place where Chi Ya is now is a large stone chamber. According to Chi Ya's estimate, the 4-room area is about 100 square meters. There are walls made of stone blocks on all sides, tightly sealed, and there is no exit. That is to say, if I want to go out, do I have to go out through the hole where I fell? Chi Ya looked at the tiny to invisible light spot above his head, and sighed slightly. However, how can I go up such a high distance? I can't fly. Besides, both sides of this passage are covered with slippery moss. It is difficult to go up through the passage. Chi Ya sat down on the ground with his hands on the ground, looking up and thinking speechlessly. However, even though he thought so, Chi Ya's body moved very quickly. Nian Qi emerged in his hand, and a rock climbing knife appeared in Chi Ya's hand. The walls are covered with moss, so it is definitely impossible to go up by hand alone, but it is still possible to climb up slowly with a climbing knife. Huh. At this moment, Chi Ya suddenly felt as if he had touched something with his hand, and couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. After touching it carefully, Chi Ya quickly looked at his hand. Root? On the ground where Chi Ya's left hand was, there was a tree root coming out of a crack in the stone. There are tree roots in this place. Chi Ya frowned slightly. I'll go. There are tree roots in such a deep place, I'm not mistaken. Chi Ya said in surprise. Although I don't know how deep I fell, but judging from the time of the previous landing, the place where I am now is at least a few hundred meters underground. There are still roots in such a deep place. Chi Ya couldn't help being curious. What kind of tree is it that can drill its roots so deep into the ground? Hum. With a soft sound, a thought energy spread out from Chi Ya's body in all directions. Round the high-level joint application of wrapping and practicing allows the chi to expand outward with itself as the center, and can detect intruders within the range covered by the chi. It is the ability to detect enemies, and it can also be used like Chi Ya now, to detect the surrounding environment. Chi Ya was very curious about where this tree root came from. However, Chi Ya was stunned by this perception. Because, just under the ground where he is currently, There are countless huge tree roots at this moment, intertwined, crisscrossing, and extending to nowhere. It's really scary. Chi-Ya was deeply shocked when she really felt the dense branches. Chi-Ya can't imagine what kind of tree can grow to this extent. Chi-Ya couldn't help but looked up at the almost invisible spot of light above her head, and took a deep breath. I don't know what kind of creature you are, but thanks to you. I didn't think of using this trick before. Chi-Ya stood up and said, clapping his hands. Just now, Chi-Ya's circle not only sensed the intertwined tree roots underground, but also sensed the situation around the stone chamber. There is a passage more than 10 meters away from the wall of one of the stone chambers. That is to say, as long as Chi-Ya breaks the wall and opens a tunnel, he can go out from this sealed stone chamber. For these, Chi-Ya's experience is very insufficient. If it is not because of wanting to detect this tree root drilled out of the ground, Chi-Ya really would not have thought of using the circle technique to detect the surrounding situation. However, this can be considered Chi-Ya's luck. Chi-Ya didn't spend a lot of time practicing circle, and she was not very proficient in circle, so the range of circle she could use was very small, not comparable to that of her grandfather Geno, and could only cover about 50 meters around. If the passage was farther away from this stone chamber, Chi-Ya would not be able to detect it. Because Chi-Ya is now in the center of the stone chamber, and the radius of this stone chamber is at least more than 20 meters, plus a distance of more than 10 meters, Chi-Ya will not be able to perceive it anymore. The climbing knife in his hand changed slightly, turning into a shovel. Chi-Ya walked towards the wall. When he came to the wall, Chi-Ya covered the shovel with Joe and began to dig. Chi-Ya didn't dare to use Thunderbolt to bomb. Under such a deep ground, using powerful thunder can easily collapse this stone chamber. At that time, Chi-Ya will really complain that every day should not be done, that the earth and the earth will not work, and that she will be buried here alive. The use of Joe made it easy for Chi-Ya to dig through the passage of more than 10 meters. Less than 20 seconds before and after. Slap. When he came to the entrance of the passage, Chi-Ya stepped forward and stepped out. The sound of shoes stepping on the water reached Chi-Ya's ears. When he came here, Chi-Ya discovered that this place is not a passage, but a cave, a natural cave. The place Chi-Ya is stepping on now is a small stream, which seems to be groundwater. Nature is really amazing. Chi-Ya looked at the grotesquely shaped stalactites on the top of his head, but shining with crystal light, and the incomparably beautiful stalactites were full of emotion. I found the secret treasure of Millennium Stone Milk, please collect it in time. At this moment, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in Chi-Ya's mind. Chi-Ya couldn't help being slightly taken aback. 1,000-year stone milk. Chi-Ya was taken aback for a moment, and couldn't help looking around. Soon, Chi-Ya saw something different on a sunken stone platform in the center of the cave. I saw that the sunken stone platform was now filled with milky white liquid. And above the stone platform, a stalactite that is obviously different from other stalactites, shining with silver light, is directly facing the stone platform. There was a drop of white emulsion hanging from its tail, but it never dripped. System. What is this? Walking to the stone platform, Chi-Ya looked at the milky white liquid on the stone platform and asked suspiciously. 1,000-year stone milk is made from the natural essence of mountains, and it is a secret treasure for body forging. The system's answer is very brief and clear, and it does not specifically introduce the role of the 1,000-year stone milk, but simply explains the role of the 1,000-year stone milk. No more? Chi-Ya asked in a daze. No, as long as the host knows, taking this thing can make you get twice the result with half the effort when exercising. The system continued to reply. After finishing speaking, he dived directly. No matter how Chi-Ya opened his mouth, there was no response, which made Chi-Ya very speechless. My own system looks very cold. However, since the system has come out specifically to remind itself, then this thing is definitely a good thing. Chi-Ya did not continue to stand still, and directly used the collection function of the system to collect the 1,000-year-old stone milk from the entire stone platform. Drop. Coincidentally, at this time, the stalactite above the head dropped another drop, and it landed on the empty stone platform. There was a crisp sound in this quiet cave. Regarding this, Chi-Ya shook his head slightly, and had no intention of putting this drop away. Turned around and left here. Chi-Ya just wants to get out of here now. The purpose of his coming to this Cocoa Ruins is to find the demonic beasts here to eliminate and obtain strengthening points, but he doesn't have much time to waste here. Following the only passage in the cave, Chi-Ya quickly left here. In the dark cave, Chi-Ya walked slowly. The stalactite side was okay before, the tail of the stalactite was shining with light, and the brightness of the whole cave was fine. However, after leaving there, the surroundings were completely dark. Chi Ya's hands emanated a faint blue lightning that illuminated the 5-meter range around Chi Ya's body, so that Chi Ya would not become blind. As she walked, Chi Ya's complexion gradually became strange, and her other hand was raised unconsciously, covering her nose. It stinks. These 2 words rose in Chi Ya's heart. Moreover, the ground suddenly became very soft. What's going on? Chi Ya couldn't help but reach down to the ground with his lightning emanating hand. The faint blue thunder and lightning clearly showed the situation on the ground in Chi Ya's line of sight. Seeing the things on the ground, Chi Ya was slightly taken aback. What are these things and why do they stink so much? Looking at the large sand-like particles on the ground, Chi Ya was very puzzled. However, at this moment, the lightning in Chi Ya's hand flickered suddenly. The next moment, a violent explosion spread from Chi Ya's body. Caught off guard, Chi Ya was blown out directly, and flew backwards in the direction he came from. The powerful explosion directly sent Chi Ya flying upside down tens of meters away, and Chi Ya's whole body hit the mountain wall heavily. The sudden explosion made Chi Ya stunned. Who I am? Why am I here? What am I going to do? A set of ignorant 3 in a row came to Chi Ya's mind. However, Chi Ya has no time to think about these things. Because, in Chi Ya's field of vision, the blazing flame had already swept towards him. Chi Ya's mind instantly cleared up, and she swears directly. F*K. As we all know, this is a plant. Before the words fell, Chi Ya's body was entwined with white light, and disappeared into the passage in an instant. The next moment, monstrous flames swept across the sky, and the entire passage instantly became a sea of flames. The sound of explosions continued. On the other side, outside the end of the passage, on a huge palace and a high platform, a sloppy and unkempt uncle is sitting cross-legged on the high platform, with his arms crossed, quietly watching a huge stone tablet in front of him. And behind him is a hole that doesn't know where it leads. It's so hard to decipher. The words of the civilization in the ruins of Coco are really profound. The slovenly uncle pinched his chin, his brows were shaped like a river, and it was obvious that he was very distressed at this time. And on the huge stone tablet in front of him are engraved with various unknown mysterious runes and images. Although it is impossible to know the meaning of it, it can be seen from these patterns and runes that this huge stone tablet is recording some kind of secret. It's been more than a month, and there are only some clues. This place is really mysterious enough, and I don't know how long it will take to solve the secret of this ruin. The sloppy uncle seemed to give up, spreading his hands behind his back, looking at the damaged ceiling, said lightly. According to the current progress, it will take at least 1 year or even 2 years to completely develop and renovate. It's really troublesome. The sloppy uncle rubbed his neck and said troubledly. However, the next moment, the sloppy uncle shrank his pupils and looked behind him suddenly. Then, the sloppy uncle also swears like Chi Ya, and then he jumped up and jumped off the high platform. Depend on. At the moment he jumped off the high platform, fierce flames gushed fiercely from the hole, spread instantly, and engulfed the entire high platform in a blink of an eye. When the uncle who fell below saw this scene, his eyes almost popped out. I'll go. This is the historical inscription in Kekeli, it can't be destroyed. The sloppy uncle just remembered that he ran down in a panic after seeing the flames just now, without any scruples at all. If the huge stone tablet was destroyed by flames, then the history of Kekeli would be completely submerged in the tide of history. Isn't it meaningless for him to stay here for more than a month? This is not something he can accept. Without any hesitation, the sloppy uncle jumped up again and jumped back towards Gaotai Mountain. On the other side, in the stone chamber that Chi Ya fell from before, Chi Ya's figure slowly appeared along with the white light. As soon as it appeared, Chi Ya slumped on the ground. At this time, Chi Ya looked very embarrassed, his clothes were black and full of holes, and his face was covered with dust. Chi Ya's silver hair was swept by flames because of the explosion just now, and a lot of curly hair appeared. The whole person looks ridiculous. What the hell? Sitting slumped on the ground, Chi Ya relaxed, with a cute expression on her face. He really didn't know what was going on in the situation just now, it exploded suddenly, he didn't know what was going on, and he couldn't react at all. And at this moment, a series of reminders suddenly sounded in Chi Ya's mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing the green bat in Coco and gaining 12 enhancement points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing the green bat in Coco and getting. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing the green bat in Coco and getting. The system prompt echoed continuously in Chi Ya's mind. This made Chi Ya even more confused. It took more than half an hour for the reminder to stop completely. And Chi Ya also recovered from the bewilderment. What did I do just now? After regaining consciousness, Chi-Ya asked himself unconsciously. Immediately, Chi-Ya suddenly remembered something, and quickly opened the attribute panel in his mind. Name. Chi-Ya Zoldyck ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen speed. Thunder, 5000, trait Nen space, 5000, manipulator Nen ring of angels archangel's breath, 5000, enhancer Nen, 5000, emitter Nen elimination, 1000. Note. The reinforcement points required for the next reinforcement are in parentheses. Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced cuisine, 500. Note. In brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 9235 item. Aluminum alloy yo-yo. Looking at her more than 9,000 enhancement points, Chi-Ya blinked cutely. Is this a windfall? Snapped. With a crisp sound, Chi-Ya slapped himself on the forehead, speechless. What did I run just now? It would be better if I could just elementalize it. Chi-Ya complained to herself. The newly acquired ability of elementalization was forgotten by Chi-Ya. If Chi-Ya was elementalized just now, there is no need to worry about the monstrous fire. As long as Chi-Ya has enough thoughts, nothing will happen if she stands there and is burned by the fire for a day and a night. However, what happened just now? After complaining about her stupidity, Chi-Ya couldn't help thinking about what happened just now. Why did it suddenly explode, and it was still a series of big explosions that didn't stop at all? Could it be that there are enemies? Impossible. If it is an enemy, then that enemy must be mentally ill. That level of fire can only be blocked by someone like Chi-Ya who has cultivated the enhancer to the point of jealousy and innocence when he uses Jian, but even so, he will also be injured. Chi-Ya is sure of this, otherwise Chi-Ya would not even think about using the space ability to transfer after seeing the fire sweeping over. Even if the Nen of other systems use Jian, at least a layer of skin will be burned off. Shaking his head slightly, Chi-Ya denied the plan of having enemies. Standing up from the ground, Chi-Ya tidied up his embarrassing situation and then walked towards the passage of the cave again. Soon, Chi-Ya came to the place where she was just now. The faint blue thunder and lightning illuminated the surroundings. This time, Chi-Ya directly started elementalization. Under the light of the faint blue thunder and lightning, everything around appeared. Gunpowder smoke was everywhere, and the stench was still pervasive. However, unlike the stench before, the smell now was a burnt stench. Chi-Ya couldn't help covering her mouth and nose again. Slowly squatting down, the lightning in his hand illuminated the ground. At this time, the particles on the ground had long since disappeared, replaced by densely packed animal corpses. Each of these corpses can be compared with the wild cats outside. The system reminded me just now that I killed the green bat in Kakeli. In other words, these corpses are all bats, Chi-Ya thought silently. Although it was burned into coke, Chi-Ya can still see its outline from these coke. Despite their size, these are indeed bats. Thoughts flowed. Chi-Ya already had the answer in his mind. How did what happened just now? The place where I am now is a bat gathering place. Those particles on the ground just now are bat feces. After years of accumulation of these feces, it forms a toxic gas, that is, methane. The stench I smelled just now was swamp gas, and when he came in here just now, he released thunder and lightning in his hand. Biogas will explode when it comes into contact with open flame and electricity. It was because of his own lightning that the methane exploded just now. And it's a series of big explosions. Once it explodes, all the methane here is detonated, so that kind of violent explosion will be produced. However, this passage is really strong, and the explosion of that level didn't blow it down. Chi-Ya looked around and sighed softly. Although I was bombed just now, I didn't lose money. I gained about 5,000 strengthening points all at once. After a while, Chi-Ya didn't have any intention of staying here any longer, and walked forward. The explosion just now had detonated all the methane, and now there should be no explosion again. Moreover, even if it explodes again, Chi-Ya is not afraid, the elementalization has already been activated. The explosion couldn't hurt Chi-Ya at all. On the other side, where the sloppy uncle is. After a lot of effort, the sloppy uncle finally put out all the fires. However, after it was destroyed, the sloppy uncle looked at the huge stone tablet that was blackened by the fire, and the corner of his mouth twitched involuntarily. This is the main part of my next work. It was actually destroyed like this. Can you still see it like this? He couldn't help feeling intense resentment towards the fire just now. Damn it. What happened just now? The sloppy uncle gritted his teeth, furious. Turning his head to look towards the entrance of the cave, the sloppy uncle walked towards the entrance of the cave. Get ready to go in and see what's going on inside. However, As soon as he reached the entrance of the cave, the sloppy uncle stopped in his tracks with a disgusted expression on his face. Ah, it stinks. The sloppy uncle, smelling the disgusting stench coming from the entrance of the cave, retreated again, and then vomited directly on Gautai Mountain. After vomiting for more than a minute, the slovenly uncle wiped the corners of his mouth and looked at the entrance of the hole in surprise. What the hell is in here? It smells so bad. Da 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 da. Startled by the sound of slight footsteps, the sloppy uncle was startled for a moment, and then roared loudly. Which bastard actually made such a thing? Get out of here. That is to say, the sloppy uncle is now angry because of the huge stone monument being burned by fire just now, so he did this. In the past, when he was calm, he would have hidden himself to observe the situation when he encountered the current situation. After all, this uncle has a very shy personality and doesn't like to meet people very much. Except for a partnership with a few other people at the earliest time, he was alone at other times. Da 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 da. There was no response to the sloppy uncle's roar, and the footsteps were getting closer. This made him furious, rolled up his sleeves, ignored the disgusting smell, and was about to rush in, catch someone and beat him up. However, at this moment, a voice finally came from the entrance of the cave. It's so noisy. A childish voice came from the entrance of the cave, making the sloppy uncle stop his movements. Then, the figure of Chi Ya stepped out from the entrance of the cave. Children? Seeing Chi Ya, the sloppy uncle looked surprised. High yield Sao Gold. Chi Ya, after coming out, saw the culprit who caused the echo poop in the cave. Her eyes widened, and she couldn't help shouting. Peeved. Who is the high yield Sao, you little brat? Where are you from? Do you know that you are very rude? The sloppy uncle, that is, Jin Wenyan, immediately changed what he was about to say with a puff. Chang spit out his saliva, and then asked with an unhappy face. Facing Jin's questioning, Chi Ya ignored his plan. A pair of faint blue eyes stared at Jin full of resentment. This guy, won every year, wiped out all my monster points. Chi Ya can't wait to give Jin Lai a thunderbolt to teach this guy a lesson. Chi Ya stared directly at Jin, making him shiver all over. Who is this kid? He seems to know me, and he has a deep resentment towards me. Jin thought with a slight twitch in the corner of his mouth. Fortunately, Chi Ya only stared at him for more than a minute, and then withdrew that look and returned to normal. Otherwise, Jin really didn't know what to do. Do you do it to children? Although he, Kim Freecy SS, is very generous, he is not good enough to do anything to a child. However, just when Jin thought this way, Jin felt a pain in his jaw, and then he flew out of the sky. Boom. I'll go, kid, don't talk about wood. Boy, who are you? What is your hatred against me? Jin asked Chi Ya, rubbing his chin that had just been straightened. What kind of grudge does this kid have against him? As soon as he came up, K punched himself directly. I don't even know him. If it weren't for the fact that this kid has no evil thoughts towards him, he would have fought back directly just now, letting this kid know what evil in society is. Kim Freecy SS, the old father of protagonist J Freecy SS. He is a cute uncle with a tsundere personality, a little shy, and a lot of cuteness when he is angry. One of the world's top 5 ninjas, one of the 5 strongest people in the world today, of course, not including the Dark Continent. Everyone in the Dark Continent is abnormal and incomparable. His achievements are enough to be a Samsung hunter, but he didn't apply because he thought it was troublesome. At the same time, he is one of the producers of the hunter game, Greed Island. He has a very high IQ and has made achievements in many fields. He is proficient in biology, archaeology, linguistics, geology, games, etc. At the beginning of this year, this guy revealed that he had developed and renovated a ruin, the Ruluka Ruins, by himself. He is a world-renowned figure, possesses the full power and financial resources of the president, and is a top-secret figure in the Hunter website. However, in Chi Ya's eyes, this guy is a high-yielding Sao. Revenge for blocking the way. Chi Ya stared at Jin firmly and said expressionlessly. At this time, the two were sitting opposite each other, and both of them were unhappy with each other. The enmity that blocks the way. What do you mean? Jin was a little confused when he said this. What the hell is the enmity that blocks the way? You high-yield Sao, you have given away many monsters in the secret realm, and I can't find a secret realm with many monsters. Chi Ya replied slightly unhappy. What? Isn't it normal for me to develop secret realms and clear out those dangerous monsters? This is something that benefits the world. Why is it hindering you? After saying this, Jin is even more upset. Destroying those monsters by himself is obviously to eliminate harm for the people, isn't it? Why is it still wrong? Well, of course, those monsters are still pretty delicious. Subconsciously, Jin recalled the deliciousness of the bear roasted on the ground some time ago. The saliva started to flow out, and Chi-Ya, who was looking at him, was puzzled and looked disgusted. "Hey, high-yielding sow, don't you feel ashamed?" Chi-Ya said with twitching eyes. I'm sorry, if you don't pay attention." Jin also recovered in time, wiped the corner of his mouth, and apologized. Then, boy, I don't think it's wrong to kill those monsters. You know, those monsters are fine for ordinary people, but once they run out of those secret realms, it is a very troublesome thing for the human world, and it will cause a lot of casualties. So, it's eliminating harm for the people," Jin said in a lecturing tone. What I got was Chi-Ya's supercilious look. Although what this guy said is correct, Chi-Ya is still very upset with this guy. Without him, because of this guy, my monster spawning points are too much less. Forget it. I won't tell you, boy, that's the exit. Go out from there quickly, don't disturb my development of the ruins. Seeing Chi-Ya's eyes, Jin almost didn't lose his temper, but he was still tolerated by Jin after coming down. He patted the ground unhappily, pointed to a hole under the high platform and said. Immediately, he went back under the huge stone tablet again and began to study it. As for Chi-Ya, Jin is not interested in Chi-Ya, and he doesn't care how Chi-Ya got down. As for Chi-Ya, after hearing Jin's words, she curled her lips. Those who see have a share, want to own it? No way. Chi-Ya jumped directly from the place where the sacrificial high platform was, and walked towards one of the directions. The place where Chi-Ya is located seems to be a treasure room, and this treasure room is truly resplendent and resplendent. The surrounding walls are filled with all kinds of rare treasures and gold jewelry. In such a situation, how could Chi-Ya leave directly? Once these things are obtained and sold, it will definitely be an unparalleled wealth. Compared with these, Chi-Ya's current worth is estimated to be only a fraction. If you have money but don't make money, you are a bastard. Chi-Ya will not let these white money slip away from her hand. Soon, Chi-Ya came to one of the walls, and directly used the system space to collect these treasures without saying a word. Jin, who was studying the huge stone tablet on it, seemed to have heard Chi-Ya's movement, so he couldn't help walking to the edge and looking at Chi-Ya. Seeing this, the corner of Jin's mouth twitched. Hey, boy, I discovered this place first. According to Hunter's rules, whoever discovers it first will have the mining right. Is it really appropriate for you to just take away my wealth in front of me? Jin said speechlessly. Although he is not interested in wealth, after all, his current worth is already unparalleled, and it is useless to ask for more wealth. But is it really good for Chi-Ya to openly take away his own wealth right in front of him? Do you think I'm a hunter? Chi-Ya, who was collecting rare treasures, turned around and responded with a mocking smile. That kind of smile made Jin want to beat him up. However, think about it or forget it. Jin walked back under the monolith again and continued to study. He was not very interested in these treasures. On the contrary, he is more interested in these precious histories. He is very concerned about what kind of civilization was born on their continent in the distant past. It was precisely because of this interest that he chose the career of ruin hunter when he became a professional hunter. Seeing Jin's reaction, Chi-Ya raised his eyebrows slightly. As expected of a man who has reached the pinnacle of power and financial resources, he is not at all tempted by these wealth. Shaking his head slightly, Chi-Ya charged again. Although the purpose of coming to this ruins is to find and kill monsters, it doesn't prevent me from earning extra money. These treasures are completely collected and sold for at least hundreds of billions of monks. This may not be worth mentioning to Jin, but it is a very huge wealth for himself. He wouldn't just miss it. After more than half an hour, Chi-Ya collected all the treasures on the main hall. The entire main hall went dark in an instant, only a dozen or so candle lamps on the wall were emitting insignificant light. After collecting, Chi-Ya put her eyes on the sacrificial altar, frowned slightly, and after a moment of silence, Chi-Ya jumped up. Why did you come up? Jin, who was studying the huge stone tablet, heard the movement, turned his head to look over, and asked Chi-Ya. After asking, Jin turned his head and started to look at the stone tablet again. What's so good about this steel that makes you give up those treasures below? Chi-Ya was very puzzled by the fact that Jin regarded this steel as more important than the gold and silver treasures below. What do you know? What is recorded on this steel is a rare treasure for human beings, and it is a treasure that unlocks the splendid civilization in our human history. Hearing this, Jin curled his lips and said, very contemptuous of Chi-Ya. Regarding this, Chi-Ya shrugged and was not angry. This kind of thing is aimed at the character of the individual. For Jin, the relic hunter, the development of unknown relics may be more important than anything else. Otherwise, this guy wouldn't have sneaked into the team heading to the Dark Continent in the Dark Continent chapter, negotiating with Netero's son Byongda. In his eyes, it is estimated that the 19 dates Dark Continent is also an unknown relic. It is a relic with the highest exploration significance. Ignoring Jin's contempt, Chi-Ya also came to the huge stone tablet, reached out and stroked the huge stone tablet lightly, carefully observing the lines on the huge stone tablet. Hey, boy, do you understand these? If you don't understand, don't waste your time. Although he won't do anything to Chi-Ya, it doesn't prevent Jin from sneering at Chi-Ya and repaying Chi-Ya for his high-yielding sow, the name of Chu. Chi-Ya rolled his eyes and ignored him. At this moment, Chi-Ya's mind rang again. Ding. Congratulations to the host for contacting precious historical relics, triggering sub-level abilities, archaeology. Hearing the voice in his head, Chi-Ya was slightly taken aback. Archaeology? Does this count as a secondary ability? Doesn't that count as a life force? Chi-Ya thought with some confusion. However, the next moment, Chi-Ya stopped being entangled, and instead became suspicious. Because Chi-Ya found that he seemed to be able to understand the image on the huge stone tablet. Although it's a bit blurry, Chi-Ya can roughly understand 1 or 2 images and characters now. One must know that the Chi-Ya just now knew 6 of these 7 orifices, and the rest didn't know anything. Big tree, 1,000 years, reincarnation, destruction. Chi-Ya saw clearly the meaning of several runes and images on the huge stone tablet. The rest can't be seen, which makes Chi-Ya feel a little itchy, wanting to understand all the remaining runes and images. Slightly frowning, Chi-Ya immersed her mind in her mind and called out her attribute panel. Name. Chi-Ya Zoldyck ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen Speed Thunder, 5000 Trait Nen Space, 5000 Manipulator Nen Ring of Angel Archangel's Breath, 5000 Enhancer Nen, 5000 Emitter Nen Exorcism, 1000 Note. The reinforcement points required for the next reinforcement are in parentheses. Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced Cuisine, 500, Archaeology, Archaeology Rookie, 100, Note. The points in brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 9235 item, Aluminum Alloy Yo-Yo. System. How many enhancement points are needed to add the archaeological ability to the highest level in the current world? Chi-Ya asked the system. Ding. Host, you need 10,000 points. The system immediately jumped out to answer. Hiss. Hearing this answer, Chi-Ya almost swears. What the hell, didn't you say that subclass abilities are cheap? Why do you need so many enhancement points to upgrade a deputy ability? System. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Didn't you say that the sub-level ability needs very few enhancement points? The cooking ability is only a few hundred to reach the highest level in this world, but you actually need 10,000 for the archaeological ability. I have a toothache. Host. The archaeological ability is a few levels higher than the cooking ability, and it is 2 levels worse than Nen, so the need for enhancement is naturally a lot. Also, please make it clear to the host that what you are asking about is the highest level in the current world, and this highest level also includes the archaeological ability on the Dark Continent. I'm going, is that so? The system reminded. Chi-Ya also understood. This highest level corresponds to the Dark Continent. From this point of view, the Dark Continent is really terrifying. Cowardly. Cowardly. So, the system, how many enhancement points do I need to enhance my archaeological ability to the point where I can see this huge stone tablet clearly? Chi-Ya didn't think about strengthening it to the highest level. After all, there were not enough enhancement points. Moreover, even if it is enough, Chi-Ya will not spend so much on it. At least not now. If I have that spare money, wouldn't it be nice for me to use it on Nan? Ding. Host, if you want to see the runes on the giant stone tablet clearly, you need an archaeological expert level, and you need 2000 enhancement points. Expert. Expert. Hearing these 2 words, Chi-Ya suddenly had some pictures in his mind, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. The power of these 2 words in Chi-Ya's place is really too great. Host, please don't be delusional, you are an expert, not a brick and mortar. I know. When the system reminded her, Chi-Ya was also embarrassed. However, do you need 2000? In order to understand the runes on this huge stone tablet, is it really good to use 2000 enhancement points to strengthen the archaeological ability? Chi-Ya was very confused. For strengthening points, Chi-Ya is very precious, and I don't want to waste it easily. Boy, you little Mao child can't understand it. If you have nothing to do, hurry up and leave. Don't get in the way here. However, at this moment, Jin on the other side came again with a mocking sentence. These words immediately made Chi-Ya stiff, and the expression on his face disappeared instantly. Chi-Ya cast a glance at Jin, and directly gave him a trash look. Then, system, use 2000 reinforcement points to enhance the subclass ability, archaeology. Ding. Use 2000 reinforcement points to enhance the subclass ability, archaeology. Congratulations to the host for obtaining expert level archaeological ability. In an instant, a lot of knowledge emerged in Chi-Ya's mind. All kinds of weird runes were constantly circulating in Chi-Ya's mind. Fonts, runes, and images of various civilizations were presented in Chi-Ya's mind one by one. Hey, you little brat. What kind of look is that? Seeing Chi-Ya's look, Jin's face twitched wildly, and he was very angry. I kindly reminded him to let him not waste his time here, but this guy didn't appreciate it, and kindly treated him like a donkey. Jin didn't intend to speak again, and after making a face at Chi-Ya, he started to study again. This kid is quite interesting. It is the first time he has seen such a strength in such a small urine. However, this big tree refers to the towering giant tree when it came down. So, what is reincarnation? Is this the real reason for the disappearance of this civilization from history? Yes, Jin was also able to read the runes and images on some of the monoliths. However, this guy only understands the words Dashu and Samsara. Others cannot be translated yet. It seems that my research on ancient texts is not enough. Why don't you go out and look for some ancient texts first? Maybe you can get clues related to this stele. Jin bowed his head in thought. At this moment, Chi-Ya's voice suddenly came from his ear, which made Jin a little annoyed. Just look at it. Why did open his mouth? And the sound is so loud, I don't know if it will disturb other people's thinking. Just when Jin was about to say a few words to Chi-Ya, what came from his ear shocked Jin, and he looked at Chi-Ya in surprise. Boy, can you understand the writing on it? In a reincarnation once in 1,000 years, our Kokoli clan is about to suffer initiation. People who rely on the tree god to survive will be able to survive this initiation. Our Kokoli clan swears that we will never repeat the tree civilization. It will definitely open up a new era in the reincarnation of the millennium. This is what Chi-Ya said just now, although I don't know if it is correct, but there are indeed two words translated by myself. Jin had to doubt that Chi-Ya could understand the writing on the huge stone tablet. Regarding this, Chi-Ya curled her lips in disdain, and gave Jin a disdainful look. Then he continued to translate the text on the huge stone tablet. Facing Chi-Ya's disdainful eyes, Jin was not only not angry, but excited. Because, judging from Chi-Ya's performance, Chi-Ya should really be able to understand. Involuntarily, Jin walked towards Chi-Ya and listened closely to Chi-Ya's translation. We were wrong. The reincarnation once in 1,000 years, with our strength, cannot bear it, and the civilization of Koko is about to be ruined in our hands. It is sad and deplorable. The power of nature is not something our generation can resist. No one can escape this once in a 1,000-year reincarnation. They will eventually perish in initiation and reborn in destruction. New civilizations will be rebuilt on the ruins, just like Koko. You Dashu. What the hell, you have no brains. After reading the words on the huge stone tablet, Chi-Ya looked strange. This seems to be the voice of a person who is about to perish, and has no other meaning. It didn't get to the point at all. Chi-Ya pouted, disdainful. No, let's not mention those irrelevant things for now, but some things have already touched on the main point. Standing beside Chi-Ya, Jin pinched his chin and retorted solemnly. From what Chi-Ya read out, Jin's amazing talent and love for archaeology allowed him to draw inferences from one instance and quickly understand the content on the giant stone tablet, thus confirming the authenticity of the content on the huge stone tablet. He can be sure that what Chi-Ya read out is 90% correct. Are you talking about reincarnation once in 1,000 years? Chi-Ya clasped her hands behind her head and said boredly. Well, I have gotten some clues about the Dashu civilization. It is an ancient civilization more than 2,000 years ago. However, it perished 2,000 years ago, and the ruins of Koko have also obtained the evidence of its demise during my exploration these days. Time, the Kakeli ruins perished in 995. If the millennium reincarnation described here is true, what do you think will happen? Jin looked at Chi-Ya and said with a light smile. 995. Chi-Ya was taken aback when he heard that. This time, if it is a reincarnation once 1,000 years, every 1,000 years there will be an irresistible disaster in the place where the Koko ruins are located, destroying the civilization built here. The time of this year is 1995, which is the period of the millennium. In other words, this Koko ruins will experience an irresistible and terrifying disaster this year, and this disaster can even destroy a brilliant civilization that has multiplied for thousands of years. Yes, it is 995 years, which is exactly 1,000 years away from us now. It's true. Even so, Chi-Ya still didn't believe it. I'd rather believe it than believe it, since it said above, some precautions must be taken. I think we should get out of here first. This place is so deep, if there is a real disaster, this place will definitely collapse, and the two of us will definitely be buried here alive. Jin suggested to Chi-Ya. Jin has completely let go of Chi-Ya's offense to him just now. The current Chi-Ya is a kindred spirit for Jin. The ability Chi-Ya has shown has been recognized by Jin. He stayed here for more than a month, and only translated 4 ministers except 2 words. Chi-Ya translated all the content on the giant stone tablet as soon as he came. This guy has a very powerful talent in archaeology. I like to walk alone, but I am afraid of strangers on the one hand, and on the other hand, because no one can keep up with my progress in exploring the ruins, and will become my burden. Jin wants to invite Chi-Ya to be his companion. The archaeological skills displayed by Chi-Ya are absolutely qualified to act with him. Maybe I am not as good as Chi-Ya in archaeology. Well, it's okay. There is no other value here now, and it's useless to stay here any longer. Chi-Ya also agrees with Jin's proposal. Let's go, then, Kim said. However, as soon as the voice fell, the entire cave began to vibrate, and countless huge stones fell from the sky, shaking the ground. Damn, high-yielding sow, you crow's mouth. Looking at a stone that was more than 10 people's size falling from the top of his head, Chi-Ya breathed out his fragrance at Jin Zhang, and then quickly hid. And Jin, at this time, also looked embarrassed and kept dodging. Ah ha ha, as expected, I expected it, let's get out of here quickly. Zhang Jin said with a ha-ha, and then he quickly avoided the boulders that kept falling down with lightning speed, and walked towards the place he pointed at just now. Place to go. Seeing this, Chi-Ya twitched her face, and also followed. At the same time, on the surface of the Kakeli ruins, the many hunters who entered here are all looking at the dozen or so huge pillars of fire not far away with ugly faces. These extinct volcanoes actually erupted. Under a towering tree, a lady wearing a dancer's costume with 2 wings on her back was looking at the huge pillar of fire rising into the sky in amazement, and lost her voice. Hunter Association 12 Earthly Branches, Unitary Crook. Plant Hunter is also a musician and dancer. A proud and picky woman. This time she appeared here to study the giant tree behind her. This giant tree whose age cannot be estimated at all. In previous records, these volcanic groups are completely extinct volcanoes, and there has been no sign of volcanic eruption since these volcanic groups were discovered. The magma in the volcano is very mild. However, unexpectedly, it broke out at this time, and it broke out in a row. Pieces of volcanic lava soared into the sky under the impact of the volcanic eruption, spread and landed in all directions, causing devastating damage to the entire Kakeli ruins. Looking down from the sky, under the impact of countless volcanic lava and magma, the remains of Coco at this moment almost turned into a sea of flames at this moment. Fiery cremation burns everything up. Many hunters watched this scene, their eyes filled with anger and powerlessness. This is an ancient relic, and it was destroyed so easily, which made them very angry. But what followed was powerlessness. This is a natural disaster, and manpower can contend. They couldn't keep this human treasure from the eruption of extinct volcanoes. At the same time, the monsters hidden in the ruins of Coco, the animals also boiled at this moment, running fast, scrambling for their lives, and a huge wave of beasts quickly formed. Some hunters who didn't have time to take measures were impacted and trampled by the huge beast tide that suddenly formed, and lost their lives alive in this beast tide. It's really scary. The Kakeli ruins are completely over. Standing on a branch as thick as the ground, Crook, the proud royal sister, couldn't help feeling sorry even if she wasn't the ruins hunter. However, these have nothing to do with me. Now, I'd better get out of here, and it will be troublesome if I go any further. Crook frowned slightly, and then he was about to jump from the height of tens of meters. However, before she moved, she frowned again. Because, she felt that the huge branch she was stepping on seemed to have moved just now. Crook squatted down gently, reached out and stroked the branches, but found nothing. Is it my illusion? Crook said to himself. Shaking his head, Crook was about to leave here. However, the next moment, Crook's eyes widened. Pulse. How is that possible? The hand she hadn't withdrawn actually felt the pulse on this branch. As a botanist, Crook's research on plants is very deep. She was sure that she didn't have hallucinations just now, but actually felt the pulse of humans or animals from the branches. In other words, this big tree is alive and conscious. Call out. There was a strange noise, and Crook hurriedly looked up, only to see a dozen pieces of lava flying towards her position. Crook stood up quickly, raised his whole body, and was about to use the skill to smash the magma. However, before she could make a move, a thick branch directly pulled towards the dozens of pieces of lava at an inconceivable angle above her head. With a series of explosions, more than a dozen pieces of magma were smashed under the blow of the branches, and gunpowder smoke filled the air. Crook stared blankly at this scene. Good, that's tough, Crook said in horror. But this sentence was preempted by a low voice. Wow, that's amazing. There were two more figures beside Crook at this time. Who is it? Crook shouted in shock, and at the same time jumped out behind him, watching the two figures warily. It's so fast, it suddenly appeared beside me, and I didn't notice it at all, Crook thought in shock. However, after seeing the appearance of the person coming, Crook's expression changed from shock to disgust. Why are you here? Crook said disgustedly. It was none other than Jin and Chi Ya who escaped from the underground cave. This is a ruin. Is it a surprise that I appear here as a ruin hunter? Jin Wenyan raised his eyebrows, looked over, and looked at Crook like a fool. Jin's expression immediately aroused Crook's anger. You really shouldn't exist in this world, you nasty guy. Crook growled at the golden fangs. This appearance made Chi Ya, who was standing by the side, think of someone. Aquarius Aqua in Fairy Tale. The guy had pretty much the same expression when he yelled at his master Lucy. Facing Crook's roar, Jin was unusually calm. No, it should be said that this guy directly ignored Crook's roar. If you stir up other people's anger and then ignore it, your character is really bad. This ruin is hopeless. Jin looked at the ruins of Kakeli that had been turned into a sea of flames, and said in a regretful tone. Phew, indeed. Facing Jin's ignorance, Crook's anger soared again. Fortunately, she had known Jin's character for a long time and knew how bad this guy was, so this anger came and went quickly. Directly ignored Jin's bad behavior. Speaking of which, who is this kid? Is it your follower? Having said this, Crook couldn't help looking at Chi Ya, who hadn't spoken since he appeared, and asked strangely. It's not a follower, it's a companion. Hearing Crook mention Chi Ya, Jin looked over and said with a confident smile on his face. K off, who is your companion? Don't label it indiscriminately. Chi Ya, who has been silent and observing the situation below, rolled his eyes and directly disrupted the situation. The confident smile on Jin's face suddenly froze. Seeing Jin deflated, Crook, who had a calm face, was taken aback for a moment, then slapped his thigh and laughed loudly. Boy, it's the first time I've seen this guy deflate. Sister, I'm optimistic about you, let him deflate a few more times. Laughing, Crook said to Chi Ya. However, Chi Ya completely ignored her, still staring at the situation below. Now it was Kim's turn to gloat. Haha, this kid doesn't even want to talk to you. Get out. Crook glanced at Jin, and said angrily. But at this moment, Chi Ya's whole body suddenly flashed with lightning, stepped into a state of super speed, and turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed down. Hey, kid, leave so soon, wait for me. Seeing this scene, Jin became anxious, and then jumped up, chasing after Chi Ya. He can't let this kid run away, he still wants Chi Ya to form a team with him. And above, when Crook saw Jin's furious look, his face showed surprise. Since she knew Jin, it was the first time she saw Jin being so caring about someone. After a slight silence, Crook glanced at the towering tree above his head, and then chased in the direction where Jin left. Although I am very interested in this strange big tree, it is obviously not the time for research, so I have to leave here quickly. Hey, kid, say that I killed monsters indiscriminately, you are better than me. In the sea of fire, the figures of Chi Ya and the three shuttled back and forth at an extremely fast speed, and Jin roared at Chi Ya in displeasure. This guy said that he had killed too many monsters, but he was even crueler than himself when he killed monsters. Where they passed, not a single monster could survive. He saw with his own eyes that Chi Ya slaughtered these monsters. Chi Ya, who did this, actually came to blame him for killing monsters indiscriminately, which made Jin very angry. This means that only state officials are allowed to set fires, and the common people are not allowed to light them? Ah bah, this guy is not a state official, and I am not a commoner. Facing Jin's roar, Chi Ya completely ignored it. A dodge turned into lightning again, broke away from the two, and continued to search for the monster. This kid is so fast, he disappeared again. Seeing this scene, Jin was dumbfounded, and then said angrily. I said, Kim Free CSS, who is this kid? He has such terrifying power in such a small urine. Crook, who was on the road with Kim, asked. Although killing the monsters here can't reflect Chi Ya's strength, and Chi Ya didn't use hair on her, but she can tell that Chi Ya's strength is very strong, At least she feels that she is definitely not Chi Yaya's opponent. This is her intuition. I don't know, this kid suddenly appeared by my side just now. Speaking of which, I don't seem to know the kid's name yet, Jin said belatedly. He only remembered now that he didn't even know his name after sharing Wheel and Woe together for so long. Thinking of this, Jin's mouth twitched again. Afterwards, Jin speeded up again, and quickly chased in the direction Shi Ya was flashing. When Crook heard this, he couldn't help but frown. Good guy. Seeing this guy cares so much about that kid, I thought this guy knew him very well, but I didn't expect that he didn't even know his name, and his hidden attributes were natural. It's disgusting. Immediately, Crook also accelerated, gained speed and caught up. Hey, kid, what's your name? Jin, this guy, quickly caught up with Chi Ya, who was killing the fleeing monster, and asked Chi Ya. Chi Ya Zoldyck. Chi Ya didn't hide anything, and said directly. For others, Chi Ya might not say it. After all, the Zoldyck family, as an assassination family, cannot disclose their own information at will. However, facing this guy, there is no such box. The character of this guy makes it impossible for the Zoldyck family to have any conflicts with this guy, and there is no need to conceal information. Furthermore, with Jin's authority on the Hunter website, he could easily find out his identity. The Zoldyck family. This sentence was not said by Jin, but by Crook, who caught up. Crook was shocked by Chi Ya's identity. After all, the name of the Shadow Tree and the Zoldyck family as an assassination family made many people afraid. Even she is no exception. Moreover, embarrassing strength is still so strong. In comparison, Jin's expression didn't change at all, and he was completely unmoved by the name of the Zoldyck family, as if the name of the Zoldyck family was very common and nothing special. Chi Ya, your archaeological ability is so strong. Do you want to form a team with me, and we will dig out all the ruins on this continent? Jin extended an invitation to Chi Ya. No, I'm not interested in the ruins. Chi Ya refused without mercy. This made Jin's face collapse. You're not interested in the ruins, so what are you driving here? Jin asked strangely. Didn't you see it? I came here to trouble these monsters. Chi Ya caught up with a fleeing monster, killed it with one blow, and turned to Jin and said. Slightly. As soon as these words came out, Jin suddenly became annoyed again. This guy. The purpose of coming here is to hunt monsters, and his purpose is to hunt monsters, and he accused me of killing monsters indiscriminately just now. It is really irritating. Chi Ya, let's fight. Jin said to Chi Ya with a straight face. Get out. Chi Ya glanced at him and spit out a word that made Jin gnash his teeth in anger. On the other side, Menchi and others who were going to Bakur's secret realm have already come out of Bakur's secret realm at this time. With such a big commotion in the Cocoa ruins, they were in no mood to continue exploring in the Bakur's secret realm. At this time, Menchi and others guarded a plain, blocking the tide of beasts rushing out of the ruins. In addition to Menchi, there is also the hunter with the Emperor stopping here. These hunters include professional hunters and unlicensed hunters. Most of the job hunters are gourmet hunters, relic hunters, esper hunters and treasure hunters. There are dozens of unlicensed hunters. A soft music with a peculiar melody sounded from the flute of one of the Eudemon's hunter, soothing the restless hearts of the animals that came out of the ruins. These animals stopped their restless pace and walked slowly on the plain. However, even though they were appeased, these animals instinctively ran behind the hunters, wanting to stay away from the ruins. As for the monsters that rushed out, some mild-tempered monsters were soothed by the music, and they walked behind the hunters together with the animals. But there are still most of the anxious monsters who rushed out and started to attack the hunters blocking the way. The first line of defense on the plain was fiercely fought. To be able to become a professional hunter, most of their hearts can stand their scrutiny. These hunters know that behind this plain is the only city here. Once they are rushed out by these monsters, it will definitely cause damage to the entire city. Incalculable damage. So they tried their best to stop these monsters. The other unlicensed hunters are also members of the professional hunter team, so their personalities needless to say. Of course, there are also some hunters who are not so selfless. After coming out of the ruins, they just abandoned this place and left. On the whole plain, except for the hunter who used the flute to appease the animals and the phantom beasts in the hearts of the monsters, the rest of the hunters participated in the battle to block the steps of the monsters.